date is October 23rd, 2024. Keelan, please call the roll.
Maps.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. Now we'll hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum. Good afternoon.
Welcome to the Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with council can be found on the council's clerk's webpage. Individuals may testify for 3 minutes unless the presiding officer states otherwise. Your microphone will be muted when your time is over. The presiding officer preserves order. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony should address the matter being considered. When testifying, 1, state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. 2, if you are a lobbyist, identify the organization you represent. 3, virtual testifiers should unmute themselves when the council clock calls your name. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Just want to give everybody a heads up. We have a lot of people signed up to testify on this afternoon's various ordinances and resolution. Because there are so many people signed up, I want to make sure everybody has a chance to testify. So we're only going to have 2 minutes of testimony instead of our traditional 3. That's so we can get through all of the testimony today. So if you plan for 3 minutes, I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of editing on the fly here so that you can come in as close to 2 minutes as possible. With that, Keelan, please read item number 909 through 916. These are all first readings of non-emergency ordinances, and item 917, which is a resolution.
Item 909, approve the third amendment to the Lentz Town Center Urban Renewal Plan. Item 910, adopt the 12th amendment to the Central East Side Urban Renewal Plan. Item 911, approve the 82nd Avenue Area Urban Renewal Plan. Item 912, adopt the East 205 Urban Renewal Plan. 913, adopt the Summer Park Rose Argay Columbia Corridor Urban Renewal Plan. Item 914, adopt the Lloyd Holiday Urban Renewal Plan. Item 915, adopt the Central East Side Corridor Urban Renewal Plan. Item 916, adopt the West Side Urban Renewal Plan. Item 917, direct the city administrator to bring forward action plans, amendments, and review of set-aside policy in collaboration with Prosper Portland.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues. At today's hearing, Prosper Portland and the Portland Housing Bureau are, of course, introducing 9 proposed actions for council consideration to adopt and implement 6 new tax increment finance or TIF districts in East Portland as well as in the Central City. If enacted, these actions will help set the course for future investment from the Central City to East Portland. Last year, this council directed Prosper Portland and the Portland Housing Bureau to explore the possibility of establishing new TIF districts in the Central City and East Portland. That process has now been completed, and we have 6 community-endorsed plans that are coming before us for our consideration. Colleagues, I'm very proud of the work that this council has done to stabilize the city and recover from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Clearly, there's much work yet to be done, but the city is turning the corner. The plans before us today represent focused, I believe, much needed investments in the communities that need it the most. These investments will uplift the Central City and East Portland for the next 3 decades, and they'll continue to pay dividends to the community long after that. I want to thank the staff of Prosper Portland and the Portland Housing Bureau who've worked long hours on this project, as well as many community partners who've collaborated with the city to collectively vision and advance this work. This afternoon, we're going to hear from Deputy City Administrator Donnie Oliveira and staff from Prosper Portland and the Portland Housing Bureau. And the council will hear public testimony from everybody here who's interested in doing that. Just a procedural note, as a reminder, all the ordinances are non-emergency. meaning we will not vote on them today. They'll be voted on at the October 30th City Council session. The resolution will also be continued after this meeting to October 30th, and I'll make an announcement about that again at the very end of the meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Rubio for her opening remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, I'm excited to be here today with the mayor, bringing these actions to council. It's been a long road with many voices involved along the way. Last June, we took a vote on a resolution that provided staff in Prosper and PHB with the clarity they needed to kick off a TIF district exploration process in not one, but 2 areas of our city. I asked Prosper and PHB to stand up a process, and they did. And together, we convened dozens of community representatives in Central City and East Portland to dive into this with us over the last year. By bringing different voices and sectors to the table to dive into complex issues, draw upon our best data, and develop a proposal, or in this case, 6 proposals, together we are co-creating real, responsive, and lasting change. Establishing these new TIF districts is a desperately needed investment in the economic revitalization and stabilization of our city. While the Central City has experienced a challenging transition in the wake of the pandemic and a cooling development market, we also know that there are several large-scale catalytic projects that have an opportunity to create new mixed-income neighborhoods on either side of the river. This plan creates a new substantial source of public investments dedicated to advancing that work and ushering in a new chapter for our Central City. And it does so without raising taxes for our residents or businesses. Similarly, East Portland faces its own combination of challenges and opportunities. While intensifying pressures in the housing market is resulting in displacement, TIF is a proven tool to help stabilize communities and expand access to homeownership and wealth creation in our East Portland communities. As the mayor noted, these are generational investments. Previous TIF districts have helped leverage public-private partnerships to build the Pearl District, South Waterfront, a modern Central East Side, the Nick Fish development in Lentz, and the Jade District, as well as thousands of affordable housing units. These new TIF districts will help us realize our visions of prosperous, thriving communities in East Portland and a revitalized Central City where the epicenter of our civic and cultural life will remain rooted along the banks of the Willamette, from Broadway Corridor to OMSI to the Theater District. The plans staff will present today are the result of a year-long co-creation process with local governing bodies, community organizations, and individual stakeholders. They've been designed with extensive input, guidance, and the leadership from the communities that they will serve. Thank you to all who have served in the service of this effort. We know that TIF cannot be deployed to address every priority or every portion of the city that we would like, but these plans are designed to be nimble and responsive to the needs of the community, and the City Council will have an opportunity to revisit these priorities with community input on a regular basis. Just as the work to bring these proposals to Council today was a result of intentional co-creation with community stakeholders, I fully expect the same commitment for co-creation going forward with the bodies of work outlined in the resolution in front of us. This is the beginning, officially, of a 30-year relationship alongside the community, and we hope that everyone who has contributed along the way will continue to engage in the governance process. And I also want to echo Mayor Wheeler in thanking Prosper Portland and the Housing Bureau for leading this collaboration. I also want to thank my fellow commissioners and their teams for engaging in this work, for meeting with us last summer to make sure we had all the right folks teed up for those steering committees, all the way up through your thoughtful questions and remarks when we got an update on the exploration process at Council last month. I know this is a meaty package and the work is just beginning, but I also know that we are all anxious to see Portland continue to recover and thrive, and that we'll get there together. So let's get started. Turn it over to DCA Olivera.
Thank you. And Donnie, before you speak, I just want to make an announcement for the benefit of my colleagues. Colleagues, I have a speech tonight, and so I will be leaving at 5:15, time certain. However, I think we'll get this done before then, but I just didn't want people to feel like I was being rude if I suddenly got up and walked out at about 5:15 this afternoon. Thank you. Donnie, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Rubio, for your comments. Donnie Oliveira, for the record, DCA of Community and Economic Development. So Commissioner Rubio and the Mayor outlined very thoughtfully where we're at today. So I just want to provide a little sideboarding for where we're going to be going. As a reminder, as Commissioner Rubio noted, this is a package coming to you after over a year's worth of really deep community and business engagement. Along with the steering committees, Prosper and Housing staff got recommendations from the Prosper Board, the Planning Commission, and even made some rounds with the county commission as well. But more importantly, the dozens of meetings, the hours and hours of engagement with community members, our business partners, and your staff along the way really form the package that you have today. But it's just one milestone in a longer route to how we're going to invest in these dollars. So I just want to acknowledge incredible work's been done, but more's ahead. And last but not least, because this is really important for us going forward, is as you're thinking about this package, we're really asking you to focus on the 6 districts and the resolution that's directing us of what's next. We want to keep it focused here because we have a lot of testimony, so we're hoping that the conversation is vibrant and focused on what can be done going forward, but also recognizing that there's much to get done in this particular moment. So with that, I want to turn over to Executive Director for Prosper Portland, Shea Flaherty-Bethune. Thank you.
Thank you. And good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Shea Flaherty-Bethune. I'm currently serving as the Interim Executive Director of Prosper Portland, and I will be joined at the dais by Portland Housing Bureau Senior Policy Analyst Jesse Connor, Prosper Portland Interim Deputy Director Lisa Aboif, Prosper Portland's Equity Policy and Communications Director Shabri Vickers, and Prosper Portland CFO Tony Barnes. And in the audience, we're joined by colleagues who have helped deliver this significant body of work, as well as community partners who are present to share their perspective. I'll just note today's presentation is a culmination of more than a year of work stemming from direction from you all here at City Council last June. I also want to stress that this is a generational moment. Earlier this month, Tracy Lowe from the Brookings Institution was here in Portland to learn about how our city is using TIF. At the same time when TIF is disappearing from the nation due to negative public sentiment, she was amazed that Portland has been able to move TIF forward in a way that centers both community and development voices. I think this dynamic echoes back to the key message of Advance Portland, which is our city's economic development strategy, mainly that centering growth and equitable opportunity is not just possible, but it's imperative. So I'd like to thank the staff across multiple city bureaus, especially our partners at PHB for their partnership, as well as the businesses, residents, and community organizations who participated and leaned into this process. If we go to the next slide, please. So this afternoon, we're going to walk through the legislative process and the policy context for these proposed districts. We're going to highlight the key priorities and the desired outcomes within each district, and then we're going to discuss the related potential revenue impacts to our city and our jurisdictions. Our presentation is also going to touch on some of the questions that you all had for us when we last met at the briefing on September 11th last month. And I want to make sure we save plenty of time for discussion as well as time for our testimony here today. So we'll plan to walk through this presentation as quickly as we can. And with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Shabri Vickers to share more about the policy context and our legislative process.
Thank you so much, Shea, and good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler, Commissioners Rubio, Ryan, Mapps, and Gonzalez. For the record, I'm Shabri Vickers, Director of Equity Policy and Communications for Prosper Portland. Next slide, please. So thank you. I'll start this afternoon by walking through the legislative process and policy context for the proposed districts. In summer of 2023, City Council adopted a resolution that kicked off the exploration process for potential new TIF districts in both East Portland and the Central City, and directed us to return in October of 2024 with any new proposed districts or updates on the exploration process. The Prosper Portland Board took actions last month to recommend adoption of all 6 TIF districts that had been endorsed by the steering committees to City Council and launched the 45-day consult and confer process. In late September and early October, we presented to Multnomah County's board, City Council, and the Portland Planning Commission. And so we're before you today to provide an overview of the proposed districts and potential financial impact as part of that consultation process with taxing districts. Next slide. Given that we are concluding the current generation of TIF districts by this fall, with only 3% of the city's assessed value and acreage anticipated will be within active TIF districts. Accordingly, the resolution passed by City Council divided the available 11,000 acres and $9.8 billion in assessed value between East Portland and the Central City as indicated on this slide. The 6 proposed districts stay within these constraints, but required the steering committee and working groups to make, in many cases, very challenging decisions. Now, speaking of these committee and working groups, I want to mention that over the last 14 months, we engaged both a Central City and East Portland Steering Committee and 3 working groups comprised collectively of about 95 members. These committees met over 65 times to co-create the proposed districts. We also held open houses and partnered with a broad range of organizations to solicit feedback and input that shaped the priorities and increased awareness during this period. Now, this exploration work, the inclusive process we aligned to in partnership with and co-created by community, is not taken lightly and is a primary reason we are before you today considering these 6 proposed TIF districts. Next slide. So this slide illustrates when current and recently terminated districts originated and their current status. Of the 18 districts named on this slide and created over the last 40 years as of October, 11 have been terminated and have no remaining TIF to invest. That includes all downtown districts, Airport Way, the Oregon Convention Center, and the 6 Neighborhood Prosperity Initiative micro TIF districts. 4 districts have some remaining TIF to invest, but have issued their last debt and are no longer collecting tax increment. So just 3 districts, North Macadam, Gateway, and Cully, will be active districts in the coming years. Next slide, please. So this slide captures some of the themes we heard in the midst of the consult and confer period. Some of these questions we will answer through the course of today's presentation, but I will note that in terms of engagement, over the past 2 months, Prosper Portland and the PHB team have conferred with 15 taxing jurisdictions, met with more than 24 elected or appointed representatives, as already mentioned, presented to the Prosper Portland Board, Multnomah County's Board, City Council, and the Planning Commission. Through this, we finalized the plans, reports, legal descriptions, land use findings for the proposed districts, and drafted 9 city council actions related to their approval and implementation. We have mailed a super notice to more than 350,000 Portland mailboxes and engaged in literally daily conversations with stakeholders, community members, and partners who have had questions or needed more information. Now, feedback largely reinforced the investment priorities outlined in the TIF plans, particularly housing and inclusive economic growth, together with stabilizing our tax base and the importance of continued high-quality, authentic engagement with community and the taxing jurisdictions. Multnomah County has been very engaged, and you've seen in the letters of support that they've provided that they want to remain engaged and at the table as action plans are developed and investments start to take shape. So the Planning Commission expressed support for the ongoing community engagement and leadership and impressed ongoing partnership with city bureaus, the county, and school districts in prioritizing TIF investments. The TIF action planning will provide a forum for that level of collaboration, not just over the coming years, but to what you mentioned, Commissioner Rubio, for the next 30 to 35-year life cycle of these proposed TIF districts. Now, in the next slides, we'll provide more information about how the city has historically been able to leverage our investments, which is one of the areas council inquired on during the earlier briefing with you all. Next slide, please. So we appreciate that implementing the proposed TIF plans will involve a significant public investment of future property tax dollars. Based on historical performance of TIF districts, leveraging a 15-to-1 private investment, we believe these TIF plans are able to deliver unique and significant returns to our city and community through the ability to invest in a range of community objectives, like new local and regional open space and transportation infrastructure, increased access to quality jobs and affordable housing in mixed income communities, and accommodating anticipated growth in a sustainable manner through leveraging partnered investments. TIF districts also provide City Council with a tool to geographically focus, balance, and direct every full dollar of property tax increase into inclusive economic growth, infrastructure, and affordable housing. Next slide, please. So in the past, we invested first and more enlarged transportation projects, and we anticipate sizable investments to occur again in the central city once the districts begin to mature. We also anticipate investing in infrastructure in East Portland in things like sidewalks and street crossings, which are necessary and tied to the economic growth and small business support we have heard highlighted by our community partners. This will be balanced by stabilization efforts to ensure community who lives there now can stay and enjoy the benefits of these long-term investments. And in East Portland, we anticipate the purple bar to grow as we seek balanced investments over the life cycle of these districts. Now, to ensure success, we know staying connected to community interest, developers, and affordable housing partners means building upon the trust that got us here today, and aligning ourselves with the many lessons learned as we consider the impact of past TIF investments. Next slide, please. Now, this slide summarizes the number of residents and businesses that could be served by the proposed 6 TIF districts, and highlights the role our central city plays as a key employment center and the role East Portland plays as home to a significant proportion of our city's residents. You'll see this breakdown between employment and residential uses informs investment priorities in the central city and East Portland, which Lisa will discuss in greater detail. Next slide, please. So looking at the big picture, what comes next? After today's hearing, the 6 proposed districts and the proposed amendments to existing districts will return to council for a vote next week on Wednesday, October 30th. And if council chooses to move forward and approve the new districts, we will begin budgeting and implementation. If approved, modest resources would become available next fiscal year, and the action planning process would begin with the convening of advisory bodies with the goal of finalizing action plans to define investment priorities for the first 5 years in spring of 2026 as those resources begin to come online. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Lisa Abloff to walk through the proposed TIF districts and related amendments in greater detail.
Thanks, Shabri. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Lisa Abloff. I'm the Director of Development and Investment with Prosper Portland, as well as the Interim Deputy Director. And I'm joined by Jesse Connor with the Portland Housing Bureau, and we'll kind of tag team an overview of the 6 proposed TIF districts and 2 proposed amendments, summarizing months of work and hundreds of pages of documents that were prepared by staff, our consultant teams, as well as our community partners. Next slide, please. So we're going to start with the 6 proposed TIF districts. Thank you. In East Portland, you see here on this slide, as Shabri mentioned, we had extensive public partnerships via our steering committee and our working groups. And you see the individual members who represented public sector, educational, community partners, affordable housing, and private sector partners who dedicated hours of time as members of that steering committee and the working groups. And I'll draw your attention particularly to our educational partners who are noted here by the graduation cap, denoting representatives from Portland Public Schools, Park Rose, David Douglas, as well as the Multnomah Education Services District, who represented the breadth of school districts involved on the steering committee. Next slide, please. The map on the right here shows the 3 proposed East Portland TIF districts. You see the Sumner, Park Rose, Argay, Columbia corridor, what we have affectionately started to call SPACE, in green at the north end of the map. You see the 82nd Avenue proposed TIF district in purple and the East 205 proposed TIF district in teal. The most acreage in East Portland was allocated to the East 205 district based on the guidance of the East Portland Steering Committee, with a boundary that generally runs from 122nd Avenue as a key commercial corridor to the Gresham boundary on the east. And the table on the left, what you see on the left is how we achieved the target and framework that council handed down to us in terms of a cap on assessed value and acreage across the 3 TIF districts, which are just under council's directed allocations. It leaves a remaining about $310 million of assessed value and 324 acres for any potential future amendment to those districts. Next slide, please. So this slide describes a menu of options that came forward as part of our community engagement and co-creation process for project investment in each of the TIF districts. And the total estimated amount for direct project investment, net of admin and financing costs based on historic trends and best practices that we've seen in other communities. The 5-year action plans that would follow your approval of the TIF districts will give more clarity and set more immediate and near-term project-specific priorities for investment. In the economic and urban development bucket, you'll see the desire for small business support, for workforce housing, as well as support for things like art and signage that reflects and celebrates East Portland's diversity. While infrastructure investments are more limited in East Portland within each district, this is not because of a lack of need, but out of a desire to ensure that TIF dollars are leveraged to secure other sources. Particularly, I would call out that the 82nd Avenue Working Group has a slightly higher percentage relative to the East 205 district or the Space District, reflecting their desire to complement the infrastructure investments that are already planned through both PBOT and regional investments. They've advocated and allocated additional funds to be able to further focus on particular safety and connectivity improvements that are not currently anticipated as part of the transportation package. And with that, I will hand it over to Jesse to cover the affordable housing component.
Thank you, Lisa. For the record, Jesse Connor, Senior Policy Analyst for the Portland Housing Bureau. So under the affordable housing bucket, you'll see a suite of options from our East Portland conversations, items related to multifamily development and preservation, but also a focus on ownership, so things such as down payment assistance and home repair, as well as support for our neighbors living in manufactured dwelling parks. Next slide, please.
So we also wanted to take a moment just to give you a snapshot of what we heard through our hours of community engagement, as well as our work with the working groups and the steering committee. So priorities for 82nd Avenue area include things like prioritizing home ownership and home repair programs to help respond to early market pressures already being felt acutely by many residents in the area, investing in some of those multimodal connections that complement and build on PBOT and the region's investments, supporting small business growth, particularly neighborhood-serving retail and services that can give folks more reasons to be out and about on 82nd Avenue. We heard pretty regularly from both residents and businesses about concerning activities along the corridor that do impact their quality of life and the experience of the businesses. And there are also larger key undeveloped sites that are available for larger scale remediation and redevelopment. Particularly, the community talked a lot about used car dealerships, some of whom have started to go out of business. And finally, not to be left behind, the interest in additional tree canopy and landscaping to reduce heat island effects along 82nd Avenue. Next slide, please. In the East 205 district, we heard strong interest in supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs, particularly home-based businesses, as well as businesses with physical bricks and mortar spaces. There's a desire for multicultural maker space, shared commercial kitchen to support food production related enterprises, and for spaces to be able to showcase and promote products of East Portland's many home-based businesses. East Portland has a higher percentage of our families with kids, and there's a significant need for additional affordable childcare to support East Portland's workforce. And on the community side, there's interest in a recreational or community center and improved connectivity and walkability through things like additional sidewalks, as well as multilingual directional signage that would both serve for general directional purposes, but also to guide folks to the small businesses in the East 205 area. Next slide, please. Some of our most dynamic discussions were in the Sumner, Park Rose, Argay, Columbia corridor area, in part due to the district including both industrial and residential uses on either side of Columbia corridor. And we anticipate you'll hear some testimony to this effect today as well. Something we heard a lot about, particularly from residents in the Argay Terrace area, was to invest in mutually beneficial development that can help actually create a buffer between those residential and industrial uses. There was also interest in recreational improvements to publicly provide public access to open spaces with a particular call out to connecting through to the Columbia Slough to the north. On the economic development side, there's interest in supporting industrial growth in a matter that recognizes nearby residential uses, together with workforce training centers and spaces for residents within the area to learn additional skills and acquire certifications related to those industries. We also wanted to note when we actually partnered with Pathfinders Network, they helped us reach out to high school students at Park Rose High School. The top things students asked for was to see the return of a Kmart or a Kmart-like store, a place to hang out after school, an affordable one-stop shop where they could get clothes, food, or other school supplies. Next slide, please.
So as part of your package for the East Portland TIF District proposed plans, they each include a governance charter committing to a governance committee or a community leadership committee who will help guide the implementation of the TIF districts and the 5-year action plans over the next 30 years. This builds on the model developed with our Cully TIF District community partners. The committee will include voices from diverse lived experiences with a range of knowledge, individuals who are growth supportive, housing production supportive, with a focus on ensuring inclusive benefits for historically disadvantaged and vulnerable communities. With that, I'll turn it back over to Lisa. Next
So
slide.
we're gonna move over to our central city districts now. We go to the next slide. Here you see the list of our central city partners who participated on our steering committee and in thematic subcommittees convened around key central city issues like business retention and expansion, affordable and market rate housing, and major catalytic opportunity sites. You'll note the makeup of our steering committees across East Portland and the central city reflected East Portland as having a more significant number of residences and the central city being a significant economic center for our region and our state. Next slide, please. So again, similar to East Portland, the map on the right shows the 3 proposed central city TIF districts. This west side district that you see here in yellow is proposed as a single district with specific properties removed due to the assessed value cap. So we removed a lot of the very high value properties that would have exceeded that cap. And with a focus to ensure that we include areas in Old Town, the downtown retail core, parts of the West End and Pearl District, including Broadway corridor, together with key open space infrastructure opportunities like the park blocks or Waterfront Park. The Lloyd District that you see here in green, its western boundary reflects discussions that we had with Albina Vision Trust, the Trailblazers, as well as Go Lloyd. And that district is anchored by the Lloyd Mall, the Broadway Widler Business District, and portions of the north end of the Central East Side, given increased connectivity via the recently completed Blumenauer Bridge. The Central East Side corridor that you see here in purple is anchored by the OMSI Master Plan area and the Orange Line. Through conversations with the Central East Side Industrial Council, the district also follows the MLK Grand and Stark commercial corridors as key areas for potential housing, mixed use, and small business growth within the area. The boundaries reflect priorities most consistently heard during the exploration process, and tough decisions were made to stay under the assessed value and acreage cap. As you can see by the table on the left, within these boundaries, there's about 4 million of assessed value remaining. That's about half a block to a block of city property remaining in assessed value. You may hear interest in including additional areas of the Lloyd District and the Pearl District today. Our proposed resolution does speak to how we would continue to work with those community partners to identify key areas for amendment as part of the first year action plans, and that those amendments could come forward to council in the future. Next slide, please. Similar to East Portland, this slide describes a menu of options for project investment in each of the TIF districts, with the 5-year action plan outlining more immediate and project-specific priorities. 55% of resources will be administered by Prosper Portland towards economic development and urban development goals, things like retaining large employers, providing small businesses with loans and grants, supporting retail and cultural anchors in our downtown, together with investing in middle-income housing. We also know there's sizable infrastructure needs in the central city to support and unlock development at our major sites, sites like OMSI, the Lloyd Mall, and Broadway Corridor, together with larger moves like the future of Waterfront Park. And with that, I will hand it to Jesse to cover the affordable housing.
So the affordable housing allocation in the central city reflects the city's current policy of the 45% set aside to be administered by the Housing Bureau for both preservation as well as new development. With preservation focused on ensuring that our existing regulated affordable housing stock in areas like Old Town continue to serve our most vulnerable populations needing access to nearby services. Next slide.
Similar to East Portland, we just wanted to take a moment to share a bit of what we heard when we were out in community and engaging with our steering committee, but also with our enhanced services districts, our neighborhood associations, and other community partners. Priorities for the West Side area included things like supporting the numerous historic buildings in Old Town, downtown, along Southwest 2nd, 3rd, 4th Avenues that may need renovation and seismic upgrades. Many of these buildings may also be regulated affordable housing, speaking to what Jesse just shared, that may need renovation to continue to provide regulated affordable housing, or they may also be offices seeking to convert to housing given significant vacancy rates continuing to be experienced in our central city. And we need to be able to retain and recruit traded sector anchor tenants and small business retailers and restaurateurs to tenant those vacancies. The importance of re-envisioning Waterfront Park came up routinely during this conversation, the question of what is the future of Waterfront Park, as well as the important role that public spaces play in activating our West Side and downtown and bringing residents and visitors back together. Similarly, the West Side is home to many of our arts and cultural venues that are critical to our economy and are core to downtown's identity, and this could be match funding to support some of that work. Next slide, please. In the Lloyd District, we heard strong interest in supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs, particularly along key corridors like Broadway Wilder and MLK and Grand, and recruiting businesses to fill vacant retail storefronts. Infrastructure investments will be prioritized to large-scale developments like at Lloyd Mall or the bottling blocks, as well as to smaller interventions that can support the Lloyd Eco District's interests in street trees and greening public spaces. Whereas the last generation of TIF in this area largely focused on the convention center and hotel expansions, this plan focuses on the build-out of Lloyd as a mixed-income, mixed-use neighborhood with opportunities for increased mixed-use and affordable residential development. Next slide, please. And last but not least, in the Central East Side Corridor District, this is an area that also combines industrial zoned areas with mixed-use zoned areas. We heard support for large-scale mixed-use waterfront development, leveraging investments in and along the Orange Line, and providing connection to the river, particularly tied to the OMSI master plan. There's also a significant number of industrial and small business entrepreneurs in the Central East Side, and there's a desire to retain those businesses' employees via our small business grants and loans that we've seen significant demand for in the current Central East Side area. And along the MLK Grand Corridor and the light rail alignment, there are key opportunities for affordable as well as market rate housing production, either as infill or as part of those larger scale development projects, particularly at our transit stations. Next slide, please. And on the governance side, from the Central City Steering Committee, they provided us the guidance to convene ad hoc action plan focus committees to co-create the first 5-year plans to guide priority investments, and to defer to those committees whether or not there is a longer-term standing committee for each of the Central City TIF districts. This was in part a reflection of our engagement in the Central City not being as geographically focused as in East Portland, and an acknowledgement of existing capacity across Central City enhanced services districts, neighborhood associations, and business organizations. Those ad hoc committees will include private sector and community representatives, many of whom are listed here. You see we started kind of listing some of the early folks we heard should be included as part of that next step with action plans. And finally, we've also captured in our resolution that there will be a central role for our Central City Enhanced Services districts, as well as our East Portland Neighborhood Prosperity Network areas, as central to our action planning and engagement work.
And while we'll have while we will have district-specific representatives, as Lisa mentioned, across all districts, we will be intentionally engaging culturally specific organizations, affordable housing stakeholders, property owners, developers, anchor institutions, and markets perspectives from organizations such as BOMA, Urban Land Institute, and Oregon Smart Growth. Next slide.
So we wanted to give a sense of what those potential outcomes could be. These are just estimated projections that may shift with priorities as changes occur. These are simply modeled outcomes over the life of the district based on current per unit subsidies or small business grants that we offer. Final investment priorities can be adjusted based on priorities as they are identified and changed with every 5-year action plan. Approximately $1.1 billion of investment in affordable housing in East Portland and the Central City could support up to 8,000 new units. In economic development, our investments could provide grant support for up to 2,400 small businesses, and up to 35,000 new jobs could be created or retained. And while harder to capture in a single quantifiable measure, our infrastructure investments could support the next generation of waterfront park or the build out of the green loop in our Central City, as well as investing in long called for street crossing and safety improvements or sidewalks in East Portland. Next slide, please. In order to bring forward the package of those 6 new TIF districts that we just walked through, we also need to amend 2 TIF districts, and those are the amendment-related ordinances before council today. Our board approved amendments to the Central East Side and Lentz Town Center TIF districts, and this would be an expression, technical action of support by council to allow for the new Central East Side corridor and 82nd Avenue districts to be created. As you can see in the map on the right, council's actions to support the board's approved amendments would reduce existing TIF district boundaries to avoid overlap between the old TIF districts and the new TIF districts. The reduced TIF districts, so both in Lentz Town Center and the Central East Side, will continue to invest and spend down the remaining TIF in those districts over the next few years, while releasing the assessed value in acreage no longer required for their revenue generation. And to ensure that we are reducing impacts to small businesses, we've also set aside a portion of our property sales within the Lentz Town Center area and Central East Side to continue to offer grants to small businesses, either in areas that will be removed from the TIF district or are moving into the new TIF district and wouldn't have access to a similar scale of grant or loan dollars over the next few years. And with that, I'm going to hand it to Tony to go over the financial impacts.
Great. Thank you, Lisa, and good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners. For the record, I'm Tony Barnes, Prosper CFO. The next several slides illustrate the estimated financial impact. Next slide, please. The overlapping taxing jurisdictions, and more specifically, the City of Portland over the estimated 30 to 35 years to implement each district. Next slide, please. This slide summarizes foregone revenues for the City of Portland, Multnomah County, and other general governments. Total foregone revenues or taxes are based on the permanent rate of each overlapping taxing jurisdiction applied to the growth and assessed value used to repay the indebtedness for each district. Assumptions for modeling purposes include 3% annual growth in assessed value. Using that assumed growth, we can estimate the amount of tax revenue that otherwise would go to the overlapping taxing jurisdictions that will be used to implement the plans. Included here is the estimated impact to general government partners, including the city, county, library district, and other general governments. In total, the estimated impact over 30 to 35 years range from $1.6 to $2 billion. The slides show a range of impact based on how much long-term financing is issued to help facilitate implementation of the district's projects and programs. The lower impact represents more pay-as-you-go, a model based on the annual tax increment revenue, where no long-term financing is issued. The higher impact incorporates some long-term bonds issued, which may result in additional time to pay off the district. These estimates also take into account the requirement of revenue sharing. Revenue sharing sends some tax increment back to the overlapping taxing jurisdictions once the tax increment revenues equal approximately 3% of maximum indebtedness for the district. These models anticipate revenue sharing to begin somewhere in the late 2030s, early 2040s. Highest general government impacts would be to the city and the county, with an annual estimated Combined impact to the city between $20 to $24 million per year for the city throughout the district's life. Later slides will illustrate this in a little bit more detail. Next slide, please. These figures represent the anticipated net impact to K through 12 school districts. Like with general government estimates, they include a range based on lower pay-as-you-go approach and the higher impact that includes some issuance of long-term bonds for the districts. Unlike general government, taxes foregone for K through 12 education will be largely absorbed at the state level through the state equalization formula, which includes other statewide resources. The figures here are estimates using simple extrapolation. The net foregone revenues by the K through 12 districts that are within the proposed TIF district boundaries include an estimate of the equalization formula, including those current resources, as well as the current weighted average daily attendance currently for those school districts. In total, the net impact to the 5 districts within the proposed boundaries will be approximately $39 to $48 million, with an average of $1 to $1.4 million per year. Changes to the state school formula, student populations, and overall state funding throughout the state could impact these estimates throughout the life of the districts. Next slide, please. So focusing more on the impact to the city, the overall estimate on the higher end of the forecast is estimated to be $860 million for all 6 districts through 2060. The graphic shown here is the estimated amount of foregone revenues to the city in 5-year increments through 2060. The impact is lower in the first 5 years as increment begins to build off the initial frozen base of each district. Using a 3% average growth estimate, the total impact for the first 5 years is estimated to be $20 million to the city. This may be higher or lower depending on the level of assessed value growth within those districts. The highest level of impact will be in the 2050s as the districts near completion and termination. And then by 2060, all the incremental value and related tax increment will accrue back to the city general fund following the completion of the districts. Shown below the graphic is the total estimated impact over that 30 to 35 year period for each proposed district. The east of 205 and west side districts represent the largest assessed value and maximum indebtedness, and therefore have the largest impact of that total. Next slide, please. And I think this is the last slide on impacts. One question we've received is whether or not the proposed new TIF districts would effectively take back all the property taxes that have recently gone back to the taxing districts general funds with the sunset of the current TIF districts. The answer is that it will not. In green, you'll see taxes foregone from the 6 proposed districts next to the amount returning for the city for the terminating districts in blue. Over the first 10 years, foregone revenue to the city's general fund is anticipated to be approximately $71 million. At that same time, the city was projected to receive about $448 million back from expired districts. Over a 35-year period, the net taxes is still positive, about $1.3 billion to the positive. However, it's important to note these taxes returns have already been built into the budget and forecast for the city, and therefore that green bar here will have an impact to future city budgets and forecasts. And now I'll hand it over to Lisa for the next steps.
Thanks, Tony. Next slide, please. So with Council's direction last summer, Prosper and the Portland Housing Bureau, our work has focused on the exploration of new TIF districts, and we're happy to be here before you today with those outcomes. However, we also know that there are additional key implementation activities that need to occur to implement on the 30-year TIF plans. Next slide, please. The resolution before Council today provides the opportunity for you to direct that work through the upcoming changes within the city by directing the city administrator to collaborate with Prosper Portland and the Portland Housing Bureau to undertake specific activities over the next year or two. Next. Prosper Portland and PHB, sorry, can you switch back? Sorry about that. Prosper Portland and PHB will lead the development of the 5-year action plans together with the East Portland Community Leadership Committees and the Central City stakeholder involvement. And these plans, again, will identify the immediate investment priorities within each of the 6 TIF districts. During this process, as I mentioned earlier, we can also identify any necessary major amendments to the TIF plans, including potential boundary adjustments. And now I'm going to hand it to Jesse to talk a little bit about a review of the set-aside policy.
Thank you, Lisa. So as the administrating agency for the city's affordable housing set-aside policy, the Housing Bureau, with the support from Prosper Portland, periodically reviews the policy to ensure that it meets city priorities, market conditions, and community needs. The 45% set-aside is a crucial component of the current affordable housing ecosystem. In the last 20 years, TIF has accounted for nearly half of all affordable housing produced in the city. The city currently allocates the 45% of the funds for the construction of new affordable housing, meaning 45% is spent on affordable housing across all districts cumulatively. Set-aside funds are used in conjunction with other funds, such as state, federal, and other local sources when available. These funds serve as a critical tool for anti-displacement in combination with economic development. Creating economic opportunity and improving neighborhoods works in tandem with affordable housing development to help mitigate otherwise harmful and racist historical impacts. Beginning in 2025, PHB will launch the next periodic review for the set-aside policy. The review will include data and market analysis, followed by robust community engagement on the findings. Next slide.
So this is our final slide, returning to the timeline that Shabri shared earlier and talking a little bit about how the resolution directed actions builds on council approvals that we are requesting today. The 6 proposed districts and amendments to existing districts will return to council together with your motion to continue the resolution for a vote next week on October 30th. If council chooses to approve the new districts, the budgeting process will start this fall for fiscal year 25-26. Modest resources would become available starting next fiscal year, and we would begin to convene our advisory bodies to develop the first 5-year action plans for East Portland and the Central City. Those actions plans would then go before Prosper Portland's board and city council by spring 2026, and concurrently the review that Jesse just discussed about the set-aside policy would be discussed with Prosper Portland and the Portland Housing Bureau and would come back to council for future consideration in 2026 to maintain alignment both between the policy as well as the action plans. And with that, I think we can take questions and or invite testimony.
Colleagues, any questions at this point?
I know
Maps, go
I know
ahead.
we got a lot of people waiting to testify, but I have a couple of quick questions that I think I would like to direct towards Jesse. And if Jesse's not the appropriate person, we can redirect them to the right expert in the room. I was really glad to hear and see at least reference to the goal of increasing home ownership through creating these TIF districts and also increasing the supply of affordable housing through these TIF districts. And I think I understand the affordable housing piece, especially building more affordable housing. What's less clear to me is the home ownership piece. Can you tell us how the home ownership piece of these proposals work?
So I'll see that there is from what we heard from our community conversations and the stakeholder committee meetings, there was a stronger and a bit deeper conversation with our East Portland partners. And they were really interested in a variety of options that would both support housing stabilization and create new homeowners. A couple programs that PHB already administers, so that's through home repair and down payment assistance. That could also.
Hey, let me stop you here. Actually, I noticed throughout your presentation you tended to put home repair and home ownership in the same bucket, or at least on the same line. I'm not quite sure why you connect them. Are those one and the same, or I think of them as kind of being two different things?
Thank you, Commissioner. They are different. I think we just shorthand it because
Sure.
it's managed by the same team. They do the down payment assistance grants,
Right.
the down payment assistance loans, and they have staff that administer the home repair program.
Great. And home repair as a guy is incredibly important. I think one of the things I'm really trying to get a better handle on in the context of this particular resolution is what the home ownership move here is. And I see we pulled in the even bigger guns. So what's the plan here? Because I'll tell you, let me tell you why I asked the question. A lot of you know I'm an academic by training, spent a lot of time studying inequality and social policy and race. And I'll tell you, there are two powerful variables which explain racial inequality in the United States. That's education and home ownership. Now, this council only has kind of marginal influence on education, but boy, we got a heck of a lot of influence on home ownership. So one of the things I hope that we can do in spaces like this is use 30-year investments in the housing space to help promote home ownership. Because frankly, if people of color are not able to buy homes in the city of Portland sometime soon, frankly, there will not be people of color in this town in a decade or two. And I see glancing references to it, but I don't see how it pencils out. And I will also just be transparent. Folks who live in East Portland are also kind of calling my office and saying, this is really important. We'd like to have some specificity in this space. Does that help?
There we go. Helmi Hesserup, Director of Portland Housing Bureau, for the record. So thank you very much for this very good question. I want to just begin with a reminder that I think it was earlier this month, but it might have been last month, that the council adopted the housing production strategy. There were three elements, there's 35 actions in the housing production strategy. One is to adopt TIF districts.
Yep.
One is to establish a land bank, and one is to expand home ownership opportunities. And so those three items are actually very interrelated. The TIF districts certainly do provide the resources, the financial resources for this type of a home ownership program. The land banking helps to provide the land that we need for it. And of course, the expansion of home ownership really, I think, means the creation of new housing that people can buy, affordable housing that people can buy. There are ways to purchase existing housing, but as you probably are aware, the current market in Portland is actually outpacing affordability for most lower income households. So we are very interested at the Portland Housing Bureau in the expansion of affordable housing. We actually think there's an opportunity to combine these three things that I mentioned: the funding, the land, and a strategy with a development of new home ownership opportunities that are net zero on the land trust that would be affordable to households in Portland. I will share with you, yesterday, the home ownership team actually went to Bend, Oregon, specifically to see their net zero affordable home ownership development program, which is quite impressive. We were told about it by HUD, and we drove up there and back in a day and visited several developments. So we think there is a huge opportunity to create a high-quality, affordable home ownership program. We think East Portland is a wonderful opportunities place to develop this, and we've heard from the community through the formation of the TIF process that this is a priority. So I will just share that we're going to continue to work with our partners at Prosper because home ownership really should span from the 30% of AMI all the way to 120% or even higher. But we will work in partnership with them to think through a robust homeownership program. And our goal is to figure out a scalable strategy for the production of affordable homeownership.
I appreciate all that. I kind of get for me, increasing housing production is a very important goal. You know, it promotes affordability ultimately, but it also feels like a slightly different topic than creating home ownership programs. And I guess one of the things I'm trying to think about in the context of the proposals before us today is what these TIF districts do on the home ownership front. I mean, it appears several times in the presentation and whatnot, but when I look at the documentation, I'm still not quite getting it. I'm certainly hearing from the community, especially folks who live in East Portland, that, you know, we certainly would like to see some kind of specific commitment to home ownership programs and initiatives. I mean, it's fine if the answer is it's not in the documentation yet, or it hasn't been figured out, and the resolutions before us today, that's helpful information to know.
Yeah, I think it is not in the document because what will be done upon the formation of these districts is the creation of action plans, 5-year
Okay.
action plans. And those action plans will contain specific direction on what we're going to do, specifically called out, such as the homeownership strategy and plans.
Right. So we're creating a 5-year, for example, we're creating a 5-year action plan, which kind of talks about TIF budget priorities, and I get the impression that's one of the things we're doing here. In the resolution before us today, do we set any targets in terms of the amount of new affordable housing that we'll produce, or the number of new opportunities to make it possible for folks at the lower end of the income spectrum to buy homes?
We don't call out specific targets other than estimated numbers of new affordable housing, largely described through the funding, that's the funding numbers. So we've estimated, I see you both reaching.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, there's an estimated 4,000 to 8,000 units coming out of $1.1 billion of investment.
Okay.
And what I'll also offer, as Lisa also jumps in, is oftentimes we think of the TIF plans as kind of the menu to a restaurant that you're going to.
Sure.
And then those action plans are what you're actually ordering. And so when
Yep.
you talk about the specificity, you would look for those in these action plans that we develop alongside community. So really digging into, is the program the correct program during this particular aspect of the life cycle of a TIF district, or do we need something different based upon either the land banking that we were able to do, or truly understanding the variety of the resources that we have at the appropriate time within those TIF plans?
Sure, and I'm looking at the resolution language. So the 5-year investment plans will be developed in collaboration with the city administrator, Prosper, and the Housing Bureau. So I got my city administrator over here, who I think represents the interests of the city or council. One of the things which I'm debating, and this is an authentic question which I'm going to be thinking about over the course of the next several days, is whether or not it's appropriate for this council to direct the city administrator or amend the language before us today to set some specific targets. We don't have to reinvent the purpose of this particular ordinance, but to set some specific targets around home ownership in this space, specifically for East Portland. For the housing professionals that are before us today, do you have any initial reactions? And if you, do you have any initial reactions?
Yeah, my initial reactions are, I think the community has already expressed this desire, so we already are on it and thinking about it. I think that specific targets at this time is a little bit premature from the standpoint of we haven't had an opportunity to deeply engage with the community and with the Prosper about the strategies. However, that said, we can certainly live with a more specific goal put forward by City Council because we are already going in that direction. And so we see this as in alignment with what we know is a priority that's been expressed in general by the community.
Could I jump in on this
Yeah.
too? And I appreciate you raising this, Commissioner Maps, because particularly the home ownership component of affordable housing.
Sure.
And so thank you for calling that out. I was here when we did the last go around where we established the 45%
Yep.
set aside. And that was a big commitment to affordable housing, and it fit within the context of the times. We said at that time that in about 5 years, we should probably sit down and revisit that and ask ourselves whether we got it right, got it wrong, whether there should be refinement. Coincidentally, it's been almost 5 years since we did that. So I do support a deeper, longer look at the set aside. And I would also say, while I supported and appreciated the 45% set aside, it was blanket, it was across the board. And I think we can be more refined than that with this next iteration and actually look district by district. Potentially set more refined goals, not only for the percentage of set aside, but also, as you suggest, potentially some specific goals around ownership. which I think would be great. But I also just want to caution, we spent like a year on public outreach just to get to the 45%. And the community with regard to TIF districts feels very, very much a strong sense of ownership over these districts and would definitely need to be engaged. So I would feel uncomfortable picking a number here and now without that full process.
Okay.
That's just me.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, one of the things I'm responding to is community that's saying, you know, one of the things that's missing from the plans today is, you know, some specificity around what our home ownership goals are in this space. And just as a policy professional, you know, I will tell you, unless we create doors and opportunities for folks, especially folks at the lower end of the income spectrum to buy homes, you will be priced out of Portland. That has been the history of this town. We spend a lot of time talking about the Almina neighborhood. This is a lesson we learn over and over again. It's well established in the sociological and the economic research. If we're creating a 30-year plan here, I think we would be remiss not to acknowledge this well understood economic and humanitarian factor.
Can I supplement that with one
Sure.
piece? I subject to the opportunity for further review, further community engagement, I think the current set-aside policy is a mistake on a go-forward basis. It doesn't mean it was a mistake at the time. I think based on my reading of the room and what the investments that the city's going to have to make in the next 10 to 20 years, I think it's a mistake to lock in the formula at this point. Having said all of that, let's just confirm. So I want to make sure I'm following the different pieces here. So we have the 45% affordable housing set aside as current council policy, but at individual TIF district level and TIF plan, don't you have multiple? I mean, we're not doing 45 in each one of them, correct?
We are, actually,
aren't?
for these 6 districts.
Okay.
But the nuance, I pick up the nuance that you're getting at there, Commissioner. The current city policy is that the 45% set aside is across all districts cumulatively. So
Okay, that's what I was getting.
aggregate.
In aggregate.
So in theory, you could have one district choose or would direct a lower affordable housing set aside, but because it's in aggregate, it would need to be exponentially higher in another district. And when we brought this important conversation to both our Central City Steering Committee and working groups and the folks that we worked with in East Portland, they all landed in the same place. And that was at the 45%, because what they wanted, they all independently agreed that they didn't want another part of town dictating what their affordable housing goals ought to be, based on what that other part of town was deciding for themselves.
Well, and I mean, that gets into a whole other issue, right?
Yes.
That if you allow another TIF district to have a lower amount and you don't want affordable housing in your neighborhood, and some people, for a variety of reasons, don't, you know, you don't want it to get pushed on you, and so you're using the 45 as sort of a protection. I'm just saying the city
Correct.
policy. I think based on my reading of the room of what the city needs in terms of economic development, flexibility going forward, I think the 45% is a mistake, but I'm going to put that over in a bucket. I just want to draw the connections though between what Commissioner Maps is getting at and the example of Ben's net zero program. So he's talking about ownership. I haven't studied extensively Ben's net zero program, but I'm just quickly looking up. Now they're building a lot of market rate housing and tying it to their net zero plan. So I just want to make sure I'm connecting all of the dots here and what you're, and they're using family examples as a part of their program. So I just want to make sure we're all talking apples to apples here.
So if I may, let me clarify. The word homeownership in the context of this type of work can take many different forms. It can take the form of rehabilitation and repair of homes that are in severe disrepair, which is a very big issue. It can take the form of accessory dwelling units, of mobile home park conversions, and in the creation of new of new houses that are for households that are earning at or below 120% of the area median income. The one I was referring to in Bend specifically is a new construction of single-family homes that are targeted to households earning at or below 120% of the median income, which is very similar to the type of housing that's done in Portland, probably most familiar with Habitat for Humanity, but there are other folks in Portland. So there's good models in Portland. The one that we looked at in Bend, we particularly liked because it was net zero, and also because they are serving households below 80% that they were targeting the deep affordability. So we wanted to see it. We were recommended to see it by HUD. But the home ownership, the discussion of home ownership can take many forms, and that's the conversation we need to have with the community to determine what is the priority for funding. From a alignment with council direction, the council has directed us through the housing production strategy to produce 63,000 units of housing at or below 80% of AMI. That's the goal. The cost of doing so is about $9 billion. So the TIF dollars are a portion, are, $1 billion. So I mentioned the strategy in Bend mostly because I am personally highly focused on production, thinking about production strategies and seeing opportunities that are emerging across the state that I think would work well in alignment in Portland. But honestly, the community will direct us on which programs are the most resonant for East Portland.
Well, just to keep things going along, but I just want to be clear that the examples I'm seeing are different examples from the Bend Net Zero strategy, where they're highlighting multifamily market housing as a part of that strategy. So I just wanted to make clear, I mean, there are various housing goals.
Yeah.
Home ownership is a venerable one, an important one. I think what Commissioner Mapps is raising, maybe we can be elevating to a greater extent. My deep concern is that we're not producing enough middle housing, and that relative to what we do at 80 AMI or below, it's a crisis, I mean, in generation. And I'm not sure we're deploying tools in a way that is most strategic to where the biggest gap is. And then the third is just general economic development and what the affordable housing set aside does in constraining our options for more multiplying investments. But I just wanted to make sure I was following what you were using as an example for Bend, because I'm seeing some other examples from the same program you're citing.
Commissioner Mapps.
Thank you. I see Director Oliveira came up, but do you have something you want to add to this conversation?
Thank you, Commissioner Mapps. Commissioner Gonzalez, thank you for your comments, and Commissioner Mapps for flagging the home ownership issue. I want to highlight, as I alluded to this earlier, you are teasing out the very questions that the resolution in this package directs staff to follow up on, the set-aside policy, working with our steering committees in these districts to unpack what is the right level of investment, what are they going to be solving for when it comes to housing, the housing stock, housing type, home ownership levels. So commissioners, thank you for daylighting the next step of this journey that we're going to be on to activate these TIF dollars, because the fact of the matter is the scope that we brought to you today stopped short of that because the lift was so great just to identify the 6 districts. But there's so much more work to be done, and you're starting to daylight the questions that need to be called and resolved.
Thank you, Director. I know we got a lot of people signed up to testify today. I appreciate the conversation. I'll let my colleagues and folks in the room and the folks watching at home know that amongst the things I'm thinking about in the context of the proposal before us today is the home ownership piece, and perhaps becoming more specific around this. As I see the resolution basically saying we'll have the city administrator, Prosper, and the Housing Bureau bring forward an action plan, but strikes me as being appropriate for this council to say, we have some goals in terms of home ownership here. I'm not saying it has to be 95% of our affordable housing strategy has to be 95% about home ownership, but one of the things I authentically believe is that if we don't have some targets around home ownership, we don't actually make progress around home ownership, especially for people of color. There will not be people of color living in this town 30, 40, 50 years from now. And with that, I will lower my hand for a while.
Very good. Anything else? All right, we'll get to public testimony. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Keelan will call your name, 2 minutes each, please. Name for the record. We don't need your address. And of course, if you're a registered lobbyist, we need to know that.
Thank you, Mayor. First up for item 909,
No,
we have an,
for any of them. It's for any of them, correct?
I'm sorry.
We're calling testimony on any of the items that have been called.
Yeah, so we ordered them and so that
okay.
people could identify which items they were speaking to,
Thanks.
but they should also, if it's different than what I have am identifying, please let council know what you're speaking to.
Great, thanks.
Item 909, Kevin Cronin, online.
Mayor Wheeler and City Council members. For the record, my name is Kevin Cronin, and I serve as the Policy and Advocacy Director for Housing Oregon. Housing Oregon is a coalition of mission-driven organizations, including CDCs, housing authorities, affordable home ownership developers, and homeless service providers. We represent over 120 members committed to addressing the affordable housing crisis across the state. Our members own the bulk of the below-market apartment inventory across the state, and our members have continued to build and invest in the city of Portland, despite the headwinds new development is facing. As someone who grew up on the east side of Portland, went to Cleveland High School, I've seen many of my peers fall behind, struggling to reach the American dream of home ownership. Some organizations are making tremendous progress on this front. I'm here to advocate for the continuance of TIF dollars being allocated to affordable housing. I'm proud to say that Housing Oregon supports a portion of these dollars going to affordable home ownership projects. It's what you've heard, it's what we've heard from our members, and it's what you've heard from the community engagement process. The funding for local housing development has kind of dried up. The Portland Housing Bond and the Metro Regional Housing Bond have been fully allocated, and there's no immediate plans for new funding. Housing Oregon members delivered more units to the voters than was originally promised on both of those fronts. And our city's housing analysis shows that we need to continue to invest. So thank you so much for your time and service.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Next up, we have Michi Slick for 910.
While Michi's making her way up, can I just remind people there's 2 bells. The first bell you hear is 30 seconds to go, and if you're up here, you'll see a yellow light. The second bell is actually the 2-minute timer. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Michi Slick, and I am a Prosper Portland board member and also a principal with Killian Pacific, a local property owner and developer. I also live and work in Portland with my family. I joined the Prosper Portland board last year because of the potential that I saw for Prosper Portland and the TIF districts to be a vital part of our providing equitable prosperity and opportunity for our residents and businesses. Establishing the proposed TIF districts will be monumental in setting the foundation for the next chapter of economic growth in Portland. From my time working and living in other U.S. cities, I have experienced the power of tools such as TIF in supporting the growth, retention, and attraction of small and large businesses and jobs, and realizing leaps forward in industry and innovation that would have otherwise not been possible. It also sends an important message that the city is committed and invested into Portland's future. The proposed TIF districts can be the beginning of a more unified and cohesive vision for Portland's growth, and we must find a way to leverage private investment into Portland to spur catalytic projects and prosperity for all of our residents, and also layer additional investments from other government entities. I also hope that we will commit to strengthening the public sector's relationship and partnership with the private sector so that we can truly leverage the private sector's resources to realize our goals as a city. We are a tool. These proposed TIF districts, together with the selection of the next Prosper Portland Executive Director, the new form of city government, and the elections, provide us with the opportunity to step back and consider our priorities for the next chapter of economic development in Portland. Thank you for your consideration and your time.
Thank you, and thanks for your service. We appreciate it.
For item 911, we have Duncan Wong, Nick Savi, and Jacob Loeb. Go ahead, Duncan.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler and members of council. My name is Duncan Huang, and I am here on behalf of Apano. We're based out in 82nd in the Jade District, and actually had the great privilege of serving both on the Downtown Task Force earlier this year and on the steering committee for the East Portland TIF districts, and I'm here to testify in support of both. I think the comments that Michi had, I just want to echo all that in terms of spurring public and private investment. And we're also on 82nd Avenue in particular. We're thrilled to have the $185 million for a jurisdictional transfer, and we're working with PBOT and project partners on bringing new FX service to 82nd Avenue, and that's another potentially over $300 million of public investment into transportation, and having a complementary TIF district to support affordable business development and affordable housing, I think really complements all the other public investments on the corridor and leverages both for greater results for the community. So I just want to thank the Prosper staff for leading a really robust and in-depth process with a lot of community engagement. And I would urge you all to support these TIF districts. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Duncan.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'm Nick Sobey. I'm a co-executive director of Rhodes Community Development. I was on the advisory committee for both the 82nd Avenue TIF district and the overall East Portland district. It's also on the Lentz Urban Renewal Advisory Committee for many years, and lifelong Portlander have worked to make East Portland neighborhoods better for almost 40 years. And I support the adoption of these districts, but it's vital the city maintain the affordable housing set aside, or we're going to see more displacement from these districts. I support a dedicated amount of TIF to affordable homeownership, as folks have talked about. That's really important. I think council should heed the findings of the 2020 Lentz Urban Renewal Audit and set measurable population level outcomes for each district and direct Prosper and PHB staff to fulfill those outcomes. If we're ever going to make meaningful progress on homelessness in the city, we need a share of TIF to go to deeply affordable 30% AMI units. I think another great goal would be to reduce the rent burden within the TIF districts. Right now, about half of Portlanders pay more than they can afford for rent, and that contributes to our homelessness. Another great goal is to increase the homeownership rate for BIPOC households. The Lentz Urban Renewal Audit found that after 20 years and more than $200 million, the BIPOC homeownership rate decreased by 10 points, rental affordability decreased by 17 points, and poverty increased. Investing to increase community wealth and ownership is the best investment we can possibly make with these TIF dollars. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Jacob.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jacob Loeb. I'm the president of the 82nd Avenue Business Association. I served on the 82nd Avenue TIF Working Group. I also serve on the Build a Better 82nd Avenue Community Advisory Group. And I've been working in this district for years. And I wanted to come and really say that you should support the TIFs as they're laid out. The people who have been working on this in the working groups and the steering committees did a great deal of community outreach. I tried to go to as many meetings as possible, and I did my best to be available to hear from the community outside of those meetings. And what I heard from them was affordable housing was critical to any kind of urban renewal process. There was a great deal of concern and distrust that the city would change whatever the working group had laid out. And there was a little bit of faith and assurance that we gave them that having the city's 45% really set the tone for how we were going to approach urban renewal through TIF. because of its history and because of the diversity in this community, urban renewal has had a very negative impact on communities. And to change any of the set-aside values would really lower people's faith in the process in general. So I think 45% is a really good balance between the economic development funds that we've set aside, as well as the percent for affordable housing. And I really hope that when you reevaluate in the future, in the coming year, what the affordable housing set-aside value should be, I would highly consider 45% as being something that the community told me that they really enjoyed. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob.
Next up, we have Andy Miller, Zachary Lauritsen, and Barbara Geyer for 9/11.
Mayor Wheeler and members of the council, my name is Andy Miller for the record. I'm the executive director of Our Just Future, a community-based organization that makes its home in a TIF district, the Gateway TIF district. We've been working toward housing and economic justice in East Portland and East Multnomah County for over 35 years. I represented Our Just Future on the steering committee for the East Portland TIF exploration, and I want to give kudos to Prosper Portland for repaving the way we do this work. At OJF, we have leveraged TIF in the past to create projects like the Nick Fish, a catalytic project that has added beautiful affordable housing, jobs, and childcare, all badly needed in our Hazelwood neighborhood. I urge you to build on the success stories like the Nick Fish by creating the proposed new TIF districts with 3 critical guardrails. First, these districts must take the lessons learned from decades of racial harm caused by urban renewal and proceed differently. Investments must be decided and driven by the wants, hopes, and dreams of communities in East Portland whose futures are most at risk by the adoption of these districts. Which leads to my second guardrail. Now is not the time to weaken the 45% set aside for affordable housing. Indeed, we should strengthen it. I do not have to tell you we are squarely in the middle of a housing crisis at the very moment the city is running short of local funding for new housing. We've shown collectively over time how investments in affordable housing lift a diverse set of economic boats. Now is simply the wrong time to back down from our commitment to setting aside funds for affordable housing. Third, and I think this is maybe different from what others might say, TIF should not stand alone. Tax increment financing is a resource, not a strategy. Strategies to redevelop places that are vulnerable like East Portland should be comprehensive and holistic and must include real-time investments beyond TIF, like eviction prevention, to promote the stability of residents most at risk of displacement. As we invest to improve our places, we should simultaneously invest in the actual people living in those places by aligning resources. If we do this right, Portland can make history. Let's do this and do it right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Zachary.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors. My name is Zachary Lauritsen. I'm the executive director at Oregon Walks. We're a pedestrian advocacy organization. I'm also the manager of the 82nd Avenue Coalition. Folks who live, work, play, go to church, go to school up and down 82nd Avenue. I'm here because, and actually your conversation about housing was extremely germane to my comment, and I want to explain why. 82nd Avenue is sexy. And there are amazing things happening along 82nd Avenue. And I think many of you know what they are, but I just want to highlight a few. You know, there's the amazing outdoor experience of Mount Tabor. There's the Jade District in Montevilla downtown, McDaniel High School being redone, places like the Grotto, Darmoraine Zen Center. There's opportunities to do things like activating Rocky Butte. And there's a long list of amazing things along 82nd Avenue. But here's why the sexiness of 82nd Avenue is really important to note. So we're making these large scale investments on the road, just short of 200 million at PBOT. We're really making great progress on the $300 million bus rapid transit project. And then we're talking about this additional big chunk of money in terms of TIF. And so if 82nd really does become this sexy place to live where we're making these very large public investments, the opposite side of that is putting really intense private or pressures on people who have lived along 82nd, who worked along 82nd for decades. And so members of the coalition are, I think, rightfully concerned about anti-displacement efforts being also implemented at the same time. And so, there's conversations about housing, there's investments in workforce so that people can withstand the pressures of displacement as their price of their housing or the price of their where they live goes up, that they can stay because they're making more money. And so I'm here to flag that we really just need to, if we're going to make these public investments, TIF, PBOT, TriMet, that we also need to make additional public investments through mechanisms like housing, like workforce development, so folks can stay in the 82nd Avenue corridor, folks who have been there for a long time. Thank you so much. Hey, and come visit 82nd Avenue. It's real sexy.
Barbara.
Hi, Barbara Geyer, and I am Barbara Geyer Real Estate. And I started in real estate. I've been licensed since 1977, beginning in California for the last 20 years, both California and Oregon. And for the most part, my focus has been first-time home buyers. And people in real estate very, very often offer free classes, talk sessions, counseling sessions, because there is so much work that goes into preparing someone to become a homeowner that is more than just their income, qualification for a loan, and that sort of thing. It is a complete mindset. And Oregon is a very different place from California as well. As a person of color here, I have found it quite sometimes difficult. And I can't be sure if it's because I'm a person of color. I really don't know, but I think that there's just a nuance there. And I'm happy to hear about all this focus on homeownership. Thank you, Commissioner Mapps, for focusing on it. So I've been serving on the 82nd TIF District Committee. Before that, I was almost 4 years on the Fair Housing Advocacy Committee in the Portland Housing Bureau. Before that, I was on a health committee in Multnomah County. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I'm here and I'm very, very interested in doing this. I'm very excited about 82nd Avenue. I think I'm just going to end it. Thank you.
For item 912, we have Shatoya Bentley, Sabrina Wilson, Margaret Salazar. Shatoya? Nope. Let's move on. Sabrina? Go ahead, Sabrina.
Hello. We see you. We hear you.
Oh, no, I'm having technical. 1 second.
Yeah, okay. We can see you and hear you now.
Hello, sorry. My name is Sabrina Wilson. I'm the executive director of the Rosewood Initiative, a place-based nonprofit organization located in East Portland that has been implementing neighbor-led strategies since 2009. As a community anchor, we foster community building and serve as a resource hub for East Portlanders most impacted by systemic exclusion. We are also proud to be one of 7 in the Neighborhood Prosperity Network. I participated in both the steering committee and also served on the East 205 working group. The work we did in the East 205 working group was intentional and thoughtful, bringing together a wide array of perspectives to explore whether TIF could be a beneficial tool for our neighbors. Our group included leaders from our local neighborhood emergency team, community-based organizations, neighborhood associations, and longtime residents. Our group came to the conclusion that we really needed to balance the investment both in affordable housing and economic development while leaving room for much-needed infrastructure improvements in East Portland. In addition to the deep work I did alongside my fellow working group members, the project team engaged in meaningful and thorough community engagement throughout this process. I really want to extend my gratitude to the community project manager, Paula Bird, and the Prosper Portland staff, who not only provided valuable engagement and education to our working group, but we're also in community engaging a wide range of communities, bringing broader perspectives, priorities, hopes, and desires for TIF as a tool for economic vitality in East Portland. Thank you for your time, consideration, and the opportunity to share my support.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Margaret Salazar. For item 912, we have Michael Lopez Sorrell, Sarah Radcliffe, and Karen Wolfgang.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the council. For the record, my name is Margaret Salazar, and I'm CEO of REACH Community Development. REACH is dedicated to building and preserving affordable housing across Portland communities. And as you know, TIF funding has been a key resource for REACH and many other affordable housing providers. Because of your prior investment and leadership, we've been able to open hundreds of doors for Portland families. We all know that safe, stable, and affordable place to call home is essential for families' economic stability, and that too many Portland families and individuals are facing the harsh reality of rents and home prices that they can't afford. REACH strongly supports Portland's continued commitment to affordable housing development, particularly in the Central City and in East Portland. And we strongly support the set aside of 45% for affordable housing, both rental and homeownership. When we build and improve affordable housing developments, we're making a lasting investment in the built environment of our city. I want to remind the council that much of the affordable housing that we operate in Portland also includes commercial space that's part of the city's economic development goals. We appreciate the council's discussion today on setting nuanced targets and the balance between citywide targets and targets in particular districts. As developers and providers of housing, what I'll say is that the most important thing we need is certainty and the long-term commitment from all of you so that we can plan ahead to meet goals for producing, repairing, and preserving housing. Hundreds of Portland individuals and families live in REACH properties that are within the boundaries of these proposed TIF districts. TIF financing will help us work together, not just to expand new housing opportunities, but importantly, to ensure that we have the resources that we need to stabilize existing properties and to make critical repairs to preserve long-term viability and affordability of dozens of existing homes. So we urge you to maintain the 45% set aside in these TIF districts. These resources can help us open new doors, expand homeownership options, and also invest in maintaining quality homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm Michael Lopsahau. I'm the Superintendent of the Park Rose School District. I'm here today to share my support of the Sumner Park Rose Argay Columbia Corridor TIF District. I'm a member of the work group that engaged in multiple meetings to learn about the design and intention of the TIF district in the Park Rose area. Why do I say yes to the TIF? Ultimately, our community, our youth lack opportunities for housing and economic development. Our families continually face displacement due to the unaffordable housing and limited economic opportunities in the Park Rose area. I understand the reasonable cynicism that some in our community may feel about the city's ability to support us through TIF. There are feelings of resentment and distrust due to the history of being an underserved part of the city. However, the status quo right now is a disproportionate impact of displacement and opportunity gaps for our most marginalized youth and their families. This impacts their educational experience. Our students face displacement, which in turn leads to chronic absenteeism, school performance concerns, and a lack of neighborhood opportunities that could help our community thrive. Our students typically I want our families to stay rooted in Park Rose, and local perspectives can play a critical role in helping our region grow socially and economically. TIF brings us greater opportunity for our youngest generation, and I want to encourage you to bring these needed opportunities to our community, especially for those who need us most.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler, City Commissioners. My name is Sarah Radcliffe, and I'm the Director of Government Relations for Habitat for Humanity Portland Region. First, I want to thank Commissioner Rubio for her leadership, and thank you to the staff who implemented a thoughtful and robust process to engage with communities and incorporate those on-the-ground perspectives into the new TIF plans. Commissioner Mapps, thank you for your comments about the importance of affordable homeownership. Early investments in affordable housing and specifically homeownership help to stabilize communities and insulate against displacement, which has historically been fueled by non-housing TIF investments. This is especially important in East Portland, which is where many of the households of color who were displaced from inner Northeast and North Portland are now struggling to maintain a foothold. This call to focus on homeownership in East Portland has a groundswell of support. Most importantly, stakeholder engagement during the East Portland TIF exploration established home ownership as a strong priority for the local communities, as we've talked about quite a bit already today. I also want to highlight our coalition letter requesting a TIF homeownership set-aside, which was signed by Proud Ground, Portland Housing Center, Habitat Portland Region, NAYA, the Native American Youth and Family Center, PCRI, Hacienda CDC, African American Alliance for Homeownership, Housing Oregon, and the East Portland Action Plan. What we're proposing and requesting is to preserve or increase TIF funds for affordable housing and dedicate a minimum of 20% of the total TIF funding to investments in affordable homeownership. The urban renewal strategies of the past are partially to blame for the fact that homeownership disparities have not improved since passage of the Fair Housing Act in 1968, but these funds can also be part of the solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Karen Wolfgang.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Karen Wolfgang. I was a member of the Working Group for East of 205 TIF, and I play several roles in Centennial, where a group of us are working to create a resilience hub and start a coffee shop because we don't have one. That's right, 25,000 residents in our Portland neighborhood, no sit-down third-place coffee shops. So we've looked at several of our many vacant buildings in the neighborhood for these purposes, but no dice yet. Meanwhile, our Centennial Community Resilience Network received a small grant to have analyses done by Birch Energy of 5 buildings in the neighborhood, guiding pursuit of more resilient energy resources, everything from functioning HVAC in one case to solar with battery backup. We were disappointed to not receive one of the first round of ODHS OREM Resilience Hubs grants, but that won't stop us. We don't have a business association in Centennial. We don't fit into one of the MPIs. We don't have much in the way of a connection to top-down efforts like Advance Portland. We're one of many groups working to improve our community from the ground up. TIF dollars might be able to help us do what we want to do, and of course, the dollars alone won't do it. We are already stretching to make our community resilience efforts happen, and we need the city to help us think about the bigger picture in the longer term. And we need Prosper to ensure that TIF and other ECDEV resources can connect directly with what's bubbling up from the community. We'll need to work together to chart the course for our next 30 years, sticks and bricks, and well beyond. So I want to leave you with the following reminders. TIF will not create coherence. That will be hard won via purposeful visioning and ongoing coordination between community groups in the city. We need to invest in community leadership capacity development, starting with recruiting for the CLCs with an eye toward member engagement and retention. And TIF needs to buddy up with other community-led investment mechanisms. And finally, we cannot just talk about anti-displacement. We need mechanisms in place to keep folks stable here and look ahead to welcoming newcomers as climate migration accelerates. Thank you all.
Very much in perfect timing.
For item 912, Terrence Hayes. For item 913, Corky Collier and Alondo Simpson.
Good afternoon. My name is Terrence Hayes, and I want to speak out on behalf of the new District 1 community of East Portland today. While we all appreciate the improvements the TIF program is versus the older urban renewal district program, we still need to pay attention and ensure we are listening to all community members and not just certain stakeholder groups. We need to ensure that East Portland does not end up with the bulk of multifamily housing, since the plan does not specifically say which TIF district of all of them proposed housing will go to. Most of the bulk housing will go to. While we welcome some new housing options, we are tired of being a dumping ground for the low-income projects. These need to be geographically spread out amongst multiple neighborhoods and city districts. We need to ensure that smaller minority and women-owned businesses are winning these bids and being paid in a timely manner to help build the wealth we talk about but don't often follow through on when giving city contracts. Lastly, thank you, Commissioner Maps, for speaking about home ownership, because often when we talk about people of color, specifically Black folks, when we're talking about gentrification, we use language without being very specific about how we're going to solve the problem. Government officials sat back while gentrification happened in the Black community. And now people's response to you, Commissioner, is that it's asking a lot to be very specific about that, the reversing of that behavior. I disagree. It is not unreasonable to be very specific about how we're going to achieve home ownership in Black communities that have been displaced. We need to stop leveraging Black trauma and pain and not being specific about how we're going to answer it. Thank you.
Thank you, Terrence.
Corky.
A lot of good timing there. My name is Corky Collier, Executive Director of the Columbia Corridor Association and a member of the Sumner Park Rose Argay Columbia Corridor Urban Renewal Committee. Not many people know we got the award for the longest name. And I'd like to say it's the longest name of a group that I've served on, but yeah, sadly, no. This TIF district has the potential to build infrastructure that benefits employees and residents. What if we could create Columbia Slough Access where employees go for lunch and families enjoy on the weekends? What if we make downtown Park Rose a more pleasant place for a work lunch and shopping in the evening? Building community helps good companies employ people that live nearby. We're already doing a good job of this. 39% of Columbia Corridor employees live within 5 miles of work. Think about it. A third of our industrial workforce is in biking distance. Columbia Corridor businesses matter because they employ more people of color and more people without a 4-year college degree in a family wage job than any other sector. To put a fine point on that, if those jobs go away, those employees end up in the service or retail sectors making half of their current wages. That's not good for our region, that's not good for our neighborhoods, and it's not good for the people that we care about. I love that this TIF district overlaps residential and industrial areas with the intention of leveraging each for the benefit of all. Lastly, I want to leave you with this thought. You have in front of you a number of TIF district proposals. Prosper Portland has managed uncountable conversations in multiple projects running parallel on the same schedule, and they brought that to you on time. I think Prosper Portland staff deserves my admiration, hopefully yours too, for a job very, very well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Corky.
Orlando.
Good job, Corky. Mayor Wheeler, members of the commission, for the record, Orlando Simpson, CEO of CORE, local solid waste recycling innovation company based in Portland, Oregon. Thank you for having me here today and allowing me some time to provide some commentary related to the TIF district process, but more specifically the space TIF district. I wanted to first and foremost, real quick, just publicly and personally thank Ted Wheeler for the work that he's done in this city over the past almost 8 years. I mean, all hats off to somebody who's endured a lot of trauma and pain through a very complicated time our city has gone through. And I just want you to say that it does not go unnoticed by myself in terms of how you still walk around with your head high, given all the negativity that comes towards you, trying to guide us through very complicated circumstances. And so I just say I thank you for what you've done for our city.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And with that, I just wanted to real quickly voice my support overall for the TIF districts and the process that has gone into this. For starters, I believe it's time for Portland to get off its tail. It's time for us to get up and get back on track and start working towards our shared values. One area that I think is really key for me to highlight real quick while I can is that the Economic Development Agency that has been responsible for a lot of the historical wrongs that have taken place, PDC, and its transformation into a new organization that we're referring to today as Prosper Portland, and under its leadership of Kimberly Branham, I would say without her and her staff doing what was necessary to restructure, rebrand, and reform this agency, we would not be at this place. And I think there was a comment mentioned earlier about somebody who visited our city and learning, I guess, essentially best practices of how we're going through TIF and urban renewal processes. I think it's very inspiring that people are looking at us as leaders in this space. And as I'm running out of time here, I'll skip through the testimony and the talking points and just give it to you straight. But we are at a pivotal moment. And that moment, I think right now is in our hands to decide if we're going to take it and succeed or we're going to sit back and fail. And I believe that the TIF district, to complement Advanced Portland and a lot of the other opportunities that we have in our city right now in terms of funding and values and ethos and culture, it's time for us to double down and invest in those areas to really show the rest of the world how they can come to Portland and learn best practices on how to stand up sustainable economic development, not just for today, but for the future generations of tomorrow. And so I appreciate your time today, and that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up for item 913, we have Dr. Paula McPhee, Colleen Johnson, and Lily Burnett.
Hi there, thank you. I am Dr. Paula McPhee. I am from the Parkrose community. I am a single parent, and I also live on a very low income due to disability. I'm happy to say that I live in a Proud Ground house. I've represented Proud Ground around the United States to advocate for funding for low-income housing. But for me, my concern is about staying in my low-income affordable house and staying healthy in my community. As all of you know, we live in the Prologis neighborhood, so I'm finding it a little daunting that the city and the city council kind of left us on our own for Prologis while it's being built and trucks are, going to eventually be coming in and out of our neighborhood next to residential community. I'm really wondering what this TIF district is going to cost us as the homeowner. Nobody's telling us what it's actually going to cost us. What I see is an increase in low income affordable housing in a community that already is low income. And if there's an increase in students, that's going to mean that it's going to go back to us, the taxpayer in this community, to help support the influx of families coming into our community. We also have a levy right now. We have to support our school district. I keep asking, what is the dollar amount it's going to cost us? Every $30 to $50 increase in our taxes is also going on with our utilities. So my income stays the same, but everybody's got these great ideas about our community. What I noticed in the map is that the map cuts off our community. So Parkrose Heights in our neighborhood, who is Parkrose, isn't included in all of the TIF. So I guess my question for this project is, what is it going to cost me, the low income homeowner, to have an influx of people who are low income coming into this community and coming into the schools that already need our taxpayers to help support it? Please consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. McPhee, I think there may be a comment, Commissioner Mapps.
Dr. McPhie, I appreciate your testimony today. I was going to try to answer your question. I was going to try to answer your question, although your question kind of took a turn at the end. One of the things I wanted to just emphasize is, TIF districts won't cost you anything. One of the good things about TIF districts is what it basically does is it takes dollars that come from your community, like your property taxes, and reinvest them in your community. So it's actually, I think, quite good for Parkrose in that sense. You asked, I think, a more complicated question in terms of some of the secondary and tertiary effects that these investments will have. And frankly, I am not prepared to answer those questions for you today. However, there's a lot of optimism in the room that the investments that we can make here will, provide, safer streets, better business development, better housing. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Keelan, after this group, we'll take a brief break. It's
Okay.
2 hours. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Colleen?
For the record, Colleen Johnson, Argay Terrace. I'd like to express concerns about the proposed Space Urban Renewal Project. As Prosper staff has mentioned numerous times, the space area is unusual because it combines both industrial and residential zones. In Argay Terrace, they literally sit across the street from each other. The tension between these two very different land uses poses potential risks for an area that is already overburdened by environmental pollution. Job creation is a critical piece of this plan, and it seems reasonable to assume that much, if not most, of the job creation will take place in the industrial area, if for no other reason than the fact that this area has been on the development radar screen for the city since 1986, when it was included in the airport URA. It also contains some of the city's most polluted industrial sites. When legitimate concerns about the potential impacts from pollution by industrial development were voiced in the working group, they were often met with the statement, "The plan is for saying what you want, not what you don't want," or worse, elicited inflammatory accusations. Most recently, a clean industry community workshop held last week included representatives from Park Rose and industry, but excluded any representation from the residents of Argay Terrace, the neighborhood closest to the industrial area. We live in an area that is among the poorest and most diverse in Portland, and it so happens one of the most polluted. To ignore or pretend these concerns don't exist is folly, and Argay Terrace will pay the price. Environmental justice is a stated goal in this plan, and that demands open and honest discussions of these issues, not baseless accusations or the stifling of dissent. I wish I was more confident in the process that this will happen.
Thank you.
Lily.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners. My name is Lily Burnett. I'm a working parent in the Park Rose School District. I'm here today to express my conditional support for the Sumner Park Rose Argay Columbia Corridor TIF district. The TIF must include the affordable housing set aside, strong community oversight of how dollars are spent, and clear alignment with the goals of the city's comprehensive plan, climate action plan, and Vision Zero. I'm grateful for the time the working group volunteers spent deliberating and collecting feedback from those of us who live in the area to ensure the TIF district will bring the economic prosperity we've long deserved without the displacement historically characteristic of TIF districts. I attended the open house hosted by Prosper Portland at Rossi Farms. I went to many of the coffee hours with Paula, and I heard over and over again from neighbors that this could be a truly transformative experience for our community, but still they're very wary, as am I, that promises made during the community-involved process won't be honored in implementation. We want sidewalks, housing options that our families and our seniors can afford, and investments in our local current businesses, as well as support for new local businesses to thrive and create jobs and wealth for our community. We want a community center, a library, a grocery store, and most of all, we want to be thought of as a thriving, diverse, beautiful place to live, not just as an industrial zone between the airport and I-205. There are multiple TIF districts being considered across the city right now, and I urge you to please align the TIF investments with the goals of the city's comprehensive plan, the Climate Action Plan, and Vision Zero. If we award TIF dollars to projects that demonstrate how they're preventing displacement of residents and local businesses, how they're cutting down on carbon emissions and air pollution, and how they're reducing traffic deaths and injuries within the district, this could be a very good investment for East Portland. I know there will be a community leadership committee established to oversee spending of TIF dollars. I will gladly apply for that committee to hold the city accountable to the promises made to Park Rose. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we will take a brief break here. It's 3:58. We will reconvene at 8 minutes past the hour. We're in recess.
Candace Jimenez, Cassie Cohen, and Lynn Felton.
Thank you. My name is Candace Jimenez, and I'm a tribal citizen of the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. I'm also a board member of the Portland Harbor Community Coalition. I've been a resident of the Sumner and Parkrose neighborhood since 2013 and Portland since 2002. For my comments today, I'm sharing concerns that TIFs can operate as a corporate subsidy tool because there's often little information regarding who they're actually benefiting in the long term, or how much the city is losing to wealthy developers in the name of boosting the health, wellness, and economies of our neighborhoods. TIFs can also reinforce rather than reduce existing inequities in a city like Portland and sustaining historical and disproportionate impacts in our communities. These are rooted in systemically caused marginalization of certain communities, notwithstanding the continued reinforcement of gentrification to its residents. In reviewing other cities and evaluating the current TIF impacts here in Portland, I'm also concerned that future audits or evaluations may find that already developing or gentrification of neighborhoods themselves may not reap the majority of TIF benefits that we are hoping for in the long term for residents. TIFs can also rely heavily on private developers rather than public institutions and community-based co-development and leadership. And as we know, private developers are going to go where they can make the fastest return on investment and not combat systemic urban inequities like in the Parkrose neighborhood. My main concern is that TIFs are often non-transparent, including here in the city and in other cities like St. Louis or Baltimore, and get treated as a separate pot of money. As a Parkrose resident, parent, and tribal citizen, I worry that local schools, including our Parkrose School District, inclusive of its students and teachers, may not see equitable benefits of TIFs, including its economic improvements in our neighborhood, especially if they're occurring where the district is in the midst of its own school bond levy. Finally, I worry about the future pollution from the city's support of the Prologis facility in Parkrose Argay, where our youth advocated for our neighborhood. And I just hope that and implore the city to consider the environmental impact, and may this not be the status quo. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony.
Cassie.
Good morning. I'm Cassie Cohen, Director of Portland Harbor Community Coalition, and I am concerned about this moving forward because I don't feel like there is adequate evidence and proof and mechanisms and metrics and tools in place that the city has shown or Prosper has shown on how to ensure that TIF will not continue to repeatedly fail to deliver on promises of equitable development and accelerate displacement of vulnerable residents. I'm channeling a Vanport survivor that we work very closely with, who tells the story of how he and his family have been displaced at least 5-6 times within the city boundaries, forcibly displaced over and over and over again. TIF, urban renewal, was all mixed up in that, in their lived experience over multiple generations, and they still have not landed permanent, affordable housing. And so that's, to me, the biggest concern. I feel like The City Council should instead focus on implementing policies and programs that directly address the affordable housing crisis and find solutions for permanent affordable housing, strengthen tenant protections, empower community-led development without the risk of displacement. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie.
Lynn.
Well, good day, commissioners and mayor. Lynn Felton, Argate Terrace resident, and here to talk about the space TIF. Thank you, Prosper Portland staff and Paula Bird for the huge lift that they accomplished. As a member of the Space Work Group, we shaped this agreement in 7 months, a short time for a 30-year, $310 million deal. Representing the Argate Terrace neighborhood, I voted for more time. The majority wanted to move forward. So here we are. With hope and trust, we move forward. With this TIF being the only one with the zoning of industry and residential literally across the street from each other, I hope residents' health and livability will be considered as robustly as the need for jobs. With this TIF, including the 30 acres of the Rossi Justo Gary farmland that has proposed some 750 residences, I hope Argate Terrace is not being included in this as a simple land grab, especially considering the proposed 260 residences in the 50 acres of farmland that was the Alpenrose Dairy. I don't understand the difference of density. It's very curious how private capital flows in this city. History. The farmlands of Parkrose and Argay were turned into industrial land after annexation in the 80s, so shiny blocks of condos could be built on the industrial land that is now known as the Pearl and the South Waterfront. That is an awfully huge opportunity our area created for Portland. Just as the millions of dollars from the Airportway URA is to this day while the Parkrose Business District struggles. I hope this TIF is the first small step in creating the opportunity and livability for this area that we have for years created for the rest of Portland. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your being here.
For item 914, we have Owen Roncelli, Gabriela Moreno, and Gaia Mather. Go ahead, Owen.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Owen Ron Kelly, and I'm Executive Director of Go Lloyd. We're a transportation management association located in the Lloyd neighborhood. We provide transportation services related to planning, education, advocacy, and events targeted at commuters and residents to improve economic vitality in our neighborhood. Over the last 2 decades, Go Lloyd has played an active role in advising how TIF dollars should be prioritized for investment in and for our community. It's been in the most recent iteration of determining how TIF boundaries, our organization chose not to state a preferred boundary, but instead elected to focus on how those funds would help leverage the next generation of development, affordable housing, and transportation improvements in our neighborhood that we desperately need. In particular, the priority for near-term TIF dollars should be used for providing assistance to our existing ground floor businesses and our property owners with vacant storefronts who are finding it difficult to find valued tenants. Later, as TIF revenues grow, they can be used to support more catalytic developments at Lloyd Center and other transformative parcels. Go Lloyd looks forward to continued engagement with Prosper Portland regarding governance of the districts and action planning with our partners in the Central East Side with the district connection bridging I-84 now. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Owen.
Gabriela.
Hi, Mayor Wheeler and City Council members. Firstly, I would like to thank you all, as well as the staff and leadership who have worked to engage communities and culturally specific organizations, provide on-the-ground perspectives on the new TIF plans. For the record, my name is Gabriela Moreno. I'm an advocacy and policy coordinator at Portland Community Reinvestment Initiatives, and I'm here representing the Affordable Housing Industry Anti-Racism Collaborative, or a HIARC, a collaborative of organizations from all parts of the affordable housing industry, including PCRI, Hacienda, NEA, Walsh Construction, Cascade Management, among others, dedicated to combating systemic racism in affordable housing. As you all know, Portland is facing a dire housing crisis with a need for about 63,000 new homes for households below 80% AMI by 2035, according to the city's housing needs analysis. And without public funding, these goals will just simply not be met, and these houses will not be built. A HIARC and our related culturally specific organizations are also particularly concerned with the racial wealth and accessibility gaps that we see. We know that homeownership is a primary source of wealth building, which has become inaccessible to many, thus making it harder to address our history of racist policies that have led to the disparities we see today. Stakeholder engagement has consistently shown that homeownership is a priority for local communities, particularly in East Portland, where I'm both a resident and I work there as well. All discussions on anti-displacement must include adequate TIF funds for affordable housing, including homeownership. Homeownership provides autonomy, opportunity for wealth building, and stability against displacement that has disproportionately affected communities of color, particularly Black Portlanders. We appreciate that homeownership is identified as a priority in all three plans, and we believe investments in affordable housing and homeownership should precede infrastructure and catalytic projects that increase housing costs and perpetuate the problems our communities are already facing. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Gaia Mather. For item 915, we have James Parker, Caroline Holcomb, and Crystal Azul Otero.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler and council members. My name is James Allen Parker. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Chippewa Cree Tribal Nation and executive director of the Northwest Native Chamber. Northwest Native Chamber is dedicated to working with all members of the community to transform the economic landscape for Native people in the Northwest. Our vision is to transform our economies from exploitive to sustainable and regenerative, where all Native people and communities have the opportunity and freedom to thrive by advancing educational and economic opportunities for Native people in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. We work diligently to support Native communities to build lasting community wealth. One of our pillars is economic justice and transformation, and we believe a future Central East Side Corridor TIF can contribute to this goal if guided by an action plan committee that includes Native businesses and Native serving organizations and decision-making for future TIF investments. The proposed Central East Side Corridor TIF district includes 486 acres and 200 million in TIF generation over the next 30 years. Key elements of the proposed TIF district that will help drive TIF generation are the development of the future OMSI district and the Center for Tribal Nations, together estimated to include more than 3 million square feet of new mixed-use development, including 1,200 units of housing. The stated goal for future TIF districts are fully aligned with the goals of the OMSI district and the Center for Tribal Nations. Supported by future TIF investments, these transformative projects for Portland will catalyze equitable economic development and placemaking. They will create and activate new public, support small businesses and business retention, and support housing development. OMSI and the Northwest Native Chamber have worked alongside tribal governments and Native communities to create a vision for a Center for Tribal Nation and a new waterfront education park within the OMSI district. We envision a hub of commerce and trade for the urban indigenous community and Native nations across the Pacific Northwest. I'll speed. The OMSI district represents a shared vision with strong support from tribal communities, OMSI, and other partners. Your approval of this proposed Central East Side Corridor TIF district will help bring this collaborative, culturally significant project to life and bring people to this place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners. For the record, I am Caroline Holcomb, Executive Director of the Central East Side Industrial Council. I am here today to voice the CEIC's strong support for the Central East Side Corridor Plan. We support this plan because we believe it clearly articulates our shared commitment to one of the most dynamic and vital areas in the Central City over the next 30 years. The Central East Side Corridor Plan is crucial for fostering long-term growth, and one of its greatest strengths is its flexibility. The plan ensures both large catalytic projects like the OMSI District and the Water Avenue Redevelopment Project can continue to act as cultural and economic anchors for the city, but it also provides critical loans and grants to business owners who are equally committed to ensuring that the Central East Side remains a thriving and innovative community. I had the opportunity to serve on the community-led steering committee, and it was a real privilege to engage the Prosper Portland staff and engage our community experts to ensure that the Central East Side's needs are clearly represented with the possibility of being codified in the new urban renewal plans. Our only suggestion is that there is significant collaboration with the enhanced service districts as we prioritize how those funds are spent. It's imperative that those investments represent our collective vision and our investments as we move forward. From infrastructure to business support, the Central East Side Corridor Plan ensures that we are investing in a full spectrum of needs that make our district truly unique. Your commitment to this plan will pave the way for the district's continued evolution as a space where businesses of all sizes, both new and established, can succeed. Thank you very much.
Crystal Azul Otero. Okay. For item 916, we have Jill Sherman, Gus Baum, Peter Andrews.
Welcome.
Thanks. Good afternoon. You've got the developer panel here. So for the record, my name is Jill Sherman, and I am a principal at Edlin & Co. We are a B Corp certified developer, and we're focused on mission-based real estate development projects. These include affordable and mixed-income housing, community facilities, and public-private partnerships. Almost all of the work that I've done here in Portland over the last 25 years or so has included the public sector in some way, and I'm a firm believer that we can actually accomplish more together than we can each do individually. In other words, there are things the private sector can bring to the table, the public sector can't, and vice versa. I think it is really important that the public sector come to that table with tools to bring to the projects and to help to actually achieve the public policy objectives that you're interested in seeing achieved in these types of projects in our city. So I'm here to express my strong support for the new TIF districts. I was a member of the Exploration Committee for the Central City, and I co-chaired the Large Scale Sites Subcommittee. Like others before me, I want to thank Prosper staff for their leadership on this work and the incredible speed with which they got the work accomplished. And as you know, we've had TIF districts in our city, in our central city in the past, and as you know as well, these are either sunsetting or have already expired, yet we clearly have work to do together in our central city. That's going to require the combined efforts of business, the nonprofit sector, philanthropy, as well as the government sector. And we really will need the resources of all of these sectors to work together to accomplish what I think will result in an equitable, thriving downtown. And we need resources for all the things people have been talking about, for affordable housing at or below 60%, for middle income or mixed income housing that may be above 60%, for infrastructure, and for support of small businesses and perhaps below market rate commercial space as well. TIF provides that key tool for the public sector. And I would just encourage you to support these districts so that we can all start moving forward together for our city.
Thank you.
Gus.
Hi, for the record, my name is Gus Baum. I'm a Director of Development for Security Properties. We're a large multifamily developer working and operating mostly in the Seattle and Portland markets. I've been working there for 10 years now. We have 2 under construction projects, one just completing, the Pepsi District pop blocks on Sandy Boulevard, Splash Apartments, which got its TCO, thankfully, last week, and the Press Blocks development that we're doing in Goose Hollow, large multifamily high-rise. I was a part of the housing subcommittee for Central City on the TIF steering committee. The work of Prosper Portland to get this done in a year is pretty impressive. I think it shows from some of the testimony that you've seen today, and for those of us that worked on the committees, that we can and are doing a lot to get this city back on track. I would echo a lot of some of the sentiments that Jill mentioned about the importance of these public-private partnerships and having tools available to be able to leverage some of the amazing things that Portland has done in the past and to turn those into what we can do in the future. Our group focused a lot on placemaking, the importance of arts and culture organizations, events and institutions, focusing on Waterfront Park, and the ability to leverage outside investment dollars to meet the important goals that I think TIF is going to be able to bring us. I do want to emphasize that I think that the word generation is important. These are 30-year commitments. And in that time, we will have different priorities. Taking those down into bite-sized pieces where you're looking at five-year plans, and you're looking at your assessment strategies, whether they are the 45% set-asides or other infrastructure timing and important rollouts of various priorities are going to be important. Thank you for your support, and I hope that these TIF districts do what we think they can.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Mayor Wheeler. My name is Peter Andrews. I am the COO of Melvin Mark Companies, a locally owned, family-operated commercial real estate firm in Portland, Oregon. It is an honor to serve on the Central City TIF Exploration Steering Committee, which brought together a diverse group of community members from private, nonprofit, and public sectors. Throughout the process, Prosper Portland actively sought input and feedback on critical topics such as district boundaries, investment priorities, project lists, and governance considerations. I do want to note that currently Melvin Mark is engaged in an exclusive negotiating agreement with Related for the development of the Broadway corridor, and TIF is a vitally important to the long-term viability of unlocking that 14-acre site. Cities nationwide are grappling with unprecedented market challenges in the wake of COVID-19. The pandemic has fundamentally changed how citizens, employees, employers, shoppers, and visitors choose to work, live, play, and visit. While Portland challenges are not unique, they are particularly severe. We're one of the highest vacancy markets in the country. Collier's just reported over 30%. We have one of just a few of the cities in the country that have a negative employment growth, and we've lost key employers and retailers. Addressing these challenges, as others have stated, will require close collaboration between the city, county, state, federal governments, and private and nonprofit organizations. As highlighted in today's presentation, tax increment financing is one of the most vital tools available to our local government. TIF funds investments in public-private partnerships, placemaking, housing, and infrastructure, which are all essential for long-term recovery of our central city. By working together and leveraging tools and incentives like TIF, I'm optimistic that our ability as a community to envision and create a future Portland that is welcome and inclusive for all. We can make strategic investments in our city that make it an age and family-friendly destination. Imagine making thoughtful investments in our central city that celebrates our world-renowned food and art scenes while simultaneously making it easier to host sports, music, community events, and investing in attracting and retaining small and large businesses. We can make it a place for everyone to visit, work, live, shop, and play. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate all three of you.
Crystal Azul Otero.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear, and we can see you as well.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, my name's Crystal Azul Otero. I live in the Brooklyn neighborhood, and I'm excited to run for City Council in District 3. So I wanted to share in District 3, about half of the households in our district, just under half, 35,000 households make less than $75,000 a year. So about half that, and we can't build 35,000 units of affordable housing. We can't build our way out of that. And so I think we do need to have a broader vision and more of a strategic plan towards pathways to ownership, specifically for people that make less than $75,000 a year. So some of the things that we can do, we can invest in cooperative ownership models, and that's happened in New York and Cleveland. Of course, we have plans for community land trusts, but the plan in the strategic housing plan, it needs more detail. We need to go in depth as to how we're going to do that and how much, land we're going to put there. We can also start a shared equity home ownership program, as well as a lease to own program. And we can also model a program based on what HUD does. They have a housing choice voucher, which is what used to be called Section 8. So the rent voucher pays for the mortgage of a place. And we pay a lot of rent assistance here, in particular, right through the Metro Supportive Housing Services dollars. And that's an opportunity to turn that rent payment into a mortgage payment. I think these TIF districts are really a good idea, but I don't think you should move forward until we get more details about the housing, affordable housing plan. You're really playing with fire here. We don't have enough of a plan here to understand how housing is going to be situated here as we move forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
For item 916, we have Robert Butler and Andrew Hone.
Do we have Robert?
I am not Robert.
You're not Robert, no?
Or not.
Not today, at least.
Welcome. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm here both on Resolution 916 and 917. My name is Andrew Hone, proud lobbyist, registered lobbyist, president and CEO of the Portland Metro Chamber, the largest, most diverse network of businesses in our region. And I'm also here representing Downtown Portland Clean and Safe, who provides enhanced services within the 213 blocks of downtown Portland. On behalf of both the Chamber and Downtown Portland Clean and Safe, we support the establishment of the urban renewal plans and tax incremental finance districts. We urge you to vote in favor of all these proposals. Once again, I'm also here to say thank you to Prosper Portland and this council for the commitment and follow through on the recommendations from Advance Portland adopted in 2023. Since then, you have executed on a business license tax incentive for office leasing, expanded enterprise zone for the central city, requirements for economic impact statements for new taxes and fees and voter-initiated measures. Today, you're considering this TIF district. Next week, you'll consider the expansion of Downtown Portland Clean and Safe. Suffice it to say, Advanced Portland execution has been on fire, and you are sending the message that Portland is open for business, and we thank you. These policies, when paired with your laser focus on livability concerns, are having an impact, and we appreciate the work of this council and staff. Portland is turning the corner. Your actions continue to provide evidence of public-private partnerships that our communities need to thrive. We offer one suggestion specifically to Resolution 917 related to the theme of public-private partnerships. This is specific to the role of the enhanced service districts when staff are formulating priorities on how to spend funds from the TIF districts. Presently, the language in the resolution indicates that the Central City Enhanced Service Districts will be centered in those conversations. And while that is very appreciated, the language center leaves a lot of room for interpretation. As the Central City TIFs begin to disperse resources and make allocations, consultation with the three enhanced service districts should be required, not centered. With this change, the future assets created by TIF districts in the Central City will be thoughtfully maintained when paired with the services of the ESDs. Far too often we create infrastructure and fail to maintain it. Let's not repeat those mistakes. Once again, thank you, and we urge you to approve all these measures. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
For item 917, we have Saurav Pala and Molly Hogan.
Welcome. Is this the right time? Why don't we just get through all the public testimony, then you can propose it.
Good afternoon, City Council, members of staff, and fellow Portlanders. My name is Saurav Pala, and I'm here today to comment on the proposal to pursue the adoption of the tax increment finance districts in the Central City and East Portland areas. Increasing Portland's housing supply, and more specifically, the supply of housing affordable to households below the 80% AMI income level, is a critical, perhaps the defining challenge of our time. However, diverting such a large portion of property tax growth towards funding affordable housing creation is a short-sighted and unsustainable move. TIFs are a powerful tool, which when successfully utilized can fund infrastructure improvements that enable growth without burdening current taxpayers. And when paired with zoning reform to allow for denser development, this can increase the housing supply while simultaneously bolstering net city revenue on a per capita basis. But pushing through these tax districts without the aforementioned changes is essentially stealing from tomorrow's budgets to pay for yesterday's mistakes. The size, level of indebtedness, and inflexibility of the proposed TIFs are inappropriate for the city at this time. Portland is entering a period of increased uncertainty. 100-year disasters strike every decade. Demographic trends are actively reshaping the population and tax base, and COVID has shown us how economically vulnerable we are to a health crisis in an increasingly interconnected world. Portland's future city leaders need to have access to the resources to tackle these issues as they arise, and implementing the proposed TIFs in the current form would significantly reduce future revenues, all but guaranteeing tax hikes for the next generation of Portlanders. It's for these reasons that I urge you against moving forward with implementing these districts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Molly.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to make comments today, Mayor and City Councilors. For the record, I'm Molly Hogan. I'm the director of the Welcome Home Coalition. We're an alliance of dozens of organizations and individuals that have the shared vision that we would have a Portland metro region where everyone has access to a safe and stable home that they can afford. So I want to say that I hope when the city examines the TIF district plans and set aside policies, an authentic effort is made to acknowledge how vital focusing on housing affordability is in any effort made to improve the quality of life in an area. We all know that urban renewal policies have been weaponized against communities of color in cities around the country, and Portland's not an exception. And the skyrocketing costs of housing that are in the news every week are national, but Portland's increases have been obscene. Coin News reported that between 2021 and 2022, Portland saw the highest increase in rental prices in all US metro areas. We had a 39% increase that was double the national average. And you today have before you policies that are tangible opportunities to make real improvements on this issue, right? We're always talking about housing. I've talked to y'all about housing before. Everybody's talking about housing. So make an impact. Please ensure that set-aside policies include funds for programs to help create more homeownership opportunities for lower-income households. Many folks have said that. And this should include programs that help keep homeowners who live on fixed incomes in their homes. We know that gentrification often displaces longtime homeowners in areas set for urban renewal. It's also essential that all TIF districts prioritize creating more housing that people can actually afford. It has not served our city to continue to subsidize development of thousands of apartments that cost $2,000 to $3,000 a month. In fact, you can visit Zillow right now and it will show you that many of these apartments are vacant, while thousands of our neighbors survive living outside in shelters or So please be responsible with taxpayer monies and ensure that these TIF districts do not become yet another painful example of racist urban renewal. Please include more robust required allocations to create quality, affordable housing opportunities, both rental and homeownership in these areas of our city. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mayor, that completes testimony.
All right, that went very well. Thank you, everybody who took the time to be here or to join us online to testify. And it was pretty obvious to me, colleagues, people had prepared very well for this. It can be kind of heady, kind of detailed, and people obviously knew exactly what they were talking about. So thank you all for that. So colleagues, at this point, we'll open up a discussion. Commissioner Ryan, I believe you have an amendment you'd like to propose.
Thank you, Mayor. I do. I would like to propose a friendly amendment to add clarity of language. This is on the second to last, therefore, and this is for, which one? 219, 917, sorry. So where it says, I'll just go ahead and read it. Should I just go ahead and read it? Attorney in charge? Okay. So right now it says, be it resolved that the City Council directs the City Administrator to work in collaboration with Prosper Portland leadership with the support of PHB to bring forward a 5-year action plans aligned with and reaffirming the goals of Advanced Portland and informed by the extensive community engagement. including centering. That's what we'd like to omit and insert, which must include partnerships with the Neighborhood Prosperity Network and enhanced service districts to identify TIF district budget priorities for City Council's consideration. And that's the change, the friendly amendment, just adding more clarity to language.
Yeah, very good. And as I understand, and staff, if you could come back up here just in case we have further questions, whoever wants to claim this. I believe what Commissioner Ryan has proposed is consistent with the intent of this resolution. And so the way I'm reading this is he is strengthening and clarifying the language. Centering can be somewhat ambiguous, but I think when you said centering, what you really meant is you want clarity that the neighborhood prosperity networks and the ESDs are included. Is that a fair statement, or do you see any problem with what Commissioner Ryan has proposed?
No problem. Yep.
I'll second. So the amendment is on the table. Any further discussion on the amendment? Please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Thank you for the clarification. I vote aye, and the amendment to the resolution 917 is adopted. Colleagues, any further discussion on any of this, the ordinances or the resolution?
Sure. I want to thank, first of all, the public for the truly thoughtful testimony that we heard today, and Prosper staff, housing staff, and Commissioner Rubio for bringing these important proposals forward. You know, ultimately, I expect to vote in favor of this package of proposals. I also expect to bring at least two amendments forward. One is the proposal that we discussed today around setting specific metrics around our home ownership goals. I look forward to having discussions with staff around how to appropriately scale that. And also, we received a letter from a member of the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners regarding membership on some of these advisory committees. I'm still processing. Commissioner Julia Burnett words, I think, wrote all of us. She made I think, a fairly common sense proposal around who should serve on some of these advisory boards. I think her intuition was basically if we're going to create a district, a TIF district, and have an advisory board that has a member of the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners on it, the commissioner who represents that district should be the designee that's there. I haven't had a chance to really unpack that with staff. Does staff have any, are you familiar with that, and do you have any feedback?
Commissioner Maps, we're absolutely familiar with that.
Yeah.
And I think the feedback is we look forward to the county staying engaged with us in this way. I do know that the county chair typically kind of decides who serves in different ways. And so I think we want to work in concert with them as it relates to that. And I think all of our work, including our exploration, has looked at who needs to engage based upon the districts that they represent. And so absolutely, I think we're in line with both kind of standard practice and what Commissioner Julia Brim-Edwards is asking for.
Okay. I think I'd like to have additional conversations with Prosper, my colleagues, the chair, maybe some of the folks over at the county to figure out what the appropriate way forward here might be. One result might be a second amendment to clarify which commissioners sit on these advisory boards. But I look forward to more discussion on that. At this hour, I don't have any amendments I don't have the language of the amendments to bring forward. I do hope to have conversations with my colleagues and staff and continue dialogue with the public to fine tune these to make sure that we're making good public policy. But I view these as fairly straightforward and authentically friendly amendments that I hope will be uncontroversial. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else? All right, very good. This has been a terrific discussion. I want to thank all the hardworking members of city staff for your great work on this. I know this has been a long, long road. I want to thank all of our community partners and collaborators and just interested community members who've taken the time to really be engaged in this process. We're at the early stages of what will continue to be a long and thoughtful process, but I'm really happy with where we are today. So with that, item 909 is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. 910 is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. 911 is also a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. 912 is a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. 913 is a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. 914 is similarly a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. 915 is a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. 916 is a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading, and 917 is a resolution. It is continued to 9:45 a.m., time certain on October 30th.
Or do you have to
Yes.
say as amended on line 17?
Yes, I do, as amended. So we'll see everybody on October 30th. Feel free to wear a costume if you're so inclined. And we are adjourned.
We are wearing costumes.
Thank you.